Good evening, everyone. We're going to call the January 20th Harahan City Council meeting to order. Madam Clerk.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, Councilman Asbill,
Present.
Councilman Buddy,
Present.
Councilman Chatelain,
Present.
Councilman Johnston,
Present.
Councilman Wheeler,
Present.
Mayor Bodier,
Present.
Police Chief Walker,
Here.
Fire Chief St. Cyr is absent. Finance Director Todd Turnion is absent. City Attorney Scott Stansberry. And myself, Carrie Hustis, Municipal Clerk, is present.
Okay, do you want to make a motion to move special presentation number 2 to the agenda now, so we can handle Tulane now?
Yes.
Go ahead. Make your motion.
Move to amend the agenda to take up Tulane Women's Bowling Team special presentation at this time.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. We'll now open for council meeting. We will open for public hearing. And when come to speak forth, we have a motion by Councilman Asbill to, and a second by Councilman Wheeler to move Tulane Women's Bowling Team up on the agenda to right now.
Yay. Yay. Yay.
All in favor? Forgot that part.
Can we go over there? This is a City of Harahan proclamation, whereas the Tulane Green Wave Bowling Team representing Tulane University and the City of Harahan, and whereas the Tulane Green Bowling Team calling our own Colonial Lanes home, and whereas the Tulane Green Wave Bowling Team, having consistently been ranked nationally among all NCAA teams, and whereas the Tulane Green Wave Bowling Team having already won 2 tournaments this season, with many more to follow, and whereas the Tulane Green Wave Bowling Team is part of our City of Champions campaign, now therefore I, Timothy Bodier, Mayor, and the City of Harahan are proud to recognize and honor the outstanding athletic and academic achievements of our home team, Tulane Green Wave Bowling, dated this 20th day of January 2022, Tim Bodier, Mayor.
And we're going to present our Tulane bowling team, who are a nationally ranked team, which is incredible to have them. They call home right here in Harahan at Colonial Bowling Lanes, which is an incredible asset to our community. We love Colonial, great lunch, and great time to go bowl. And so we're going to present them tonight with this award. It says Tulane Women's Bowling Team in recognition of outstanding commitment to excellence and representation of the City of Harahan. Bowl Wave, January 20th, 2022. So you're going to come on up. Okay, you want to just take up special presentation number 2 while we just in special presentation? We have a motion on the floor by Councilman Asbill, second by Councilman Wheeler to take up special presentation number 1. At the present moment, we can't open for public hearing. Anyone not coming to speak forth will now close public hearing. All in favor?
Yay.
All right, 5 yeas, 0 nays. Chief Walker.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, viewing public. Tim Walker, Area Police Chief. Some of the mailboxes outside in the metropolitan area have been compromised in the last few months, especially the one back in Elmwood on Citrus Boulevard, the outside boxes, the drop-up boxes. We're asking you to check your bank statements. There's been numerous checks that have been taken out those boxes and have been altered. So check your bank statements. Go over your canceled checks carefully to make sure you're not one of the victims. If so, contact your local police department. We've taken quite a few of the reports, even though it's in Elmwood, out of our jurisdiction. Harahan residents were taking quite a few reports of Harahan residents who have lost checks through that procedure. So if you dial 911, whether it's in River Ridge, the sheriff's office will come out. If it's in Harahan, we'll come out, take the initial report. We're working with the postal inspectors and with Jefferson Parish on this investigation. Another thing we still haven't experienced lately is a lot of people are contacting us about suspicious activity after it passes. So as I said before, if something's suspicious in your neighborhood, get as much information as possible without compromising yourself or putting yourself in danger. A description, clothing, vehicle if possible, and dial 911. If you call us, we're coming. If it's 2-3 times a day, we come in each time to make sure that it's legit. But we've had several of those lately where people have contacted us about suspicious activity after the people have already fled. As I said before, we work off the 911 dispatch system with the sheriff's office. We work off their radio system. So when they broadcast a call for Harahan, the levy district, if they work in the river, and also Jefferson Parish, if they're in the area, they'll respond to the call with us and assist us, and we assist them also. So don't hesitate to call. Again, we notice in a lot of houses and business places do not have their street numbers that are visible. It makes a big difference for first responders, whether it's police, fire, or EMS, responding to a call when seconds count. So check your outside address to make sure that the numbers are there to start with. Quite a few houses don't have numbers. If you have numbers, make sure they're all there in the right place. Sometimes a nail screw will fall out and the numbers turn upside down. And if they don't have a bush or something blocking the view, it makes a big difference in us responding to a call. And Mardi Gras is approaching. If you're having young children, you're taking them to a parade, put some identification in their pockets, contact number for an adult, also their name. If you have a cell phone, most people do, take a picture of them each time you go to a parade. That way you have a picture of them plus what kind of clothing that they wear. If they become lost, it's easier for us to help, find them. Not recover, but find them. So take care. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, move to amend the agenda to add special presentation number 3, Ms. Chantel Kerner with the Harahan Farmers Market.
Okay. We have a motion on the floor by Councilman Asbill, second by Councilman Wheeler. Anyone coming for public hearing to speak for or against? We're going to vote on that motion. All in favor?
Yay.
5 yeas, 0 nays. Go ahead, guys.
Oh, and Ms. Tina Hunter. I'm sorry, I didn't know if you were coming up or not. Ms. Tina Hunter as well.
She's my sidekick. Hi, I'm Chantal Kerner. I own the CBD Wellness Center at 712 on Jefferson Highway. We opened up in July of 2021. We're very happy to be there, and we would like to thank you for welcoming us to the community. We've had a lot of support from everybody. I'm also the market manager for the Harahan Farmers Market, and Tina Hunter is on the Harahan Market Committee with myself and Michelle Leslie, who wishes she could be here tonight, but she is down with COVID. I came tonight to let everybody know that we have moved the market with the support of Mayor Baudier and Tina Hunter. We have gotten the market successfully moved from City Hall to the Harahan Playground. We are there every Sunday from 10 to 2 at the Soniat Field. So,
It's in the area where the concession stand is, the old place that is.
yes.
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 I
It's
don't
over
know
there.
if it has a name or not yet. It might, but no.
Yes, well, we are very much looking forward to making that our permanent home and to growing as a market. We're really happy with the vendors we have. We have some wonderful vendors, and we're going to continue to grow. We appreciate all the support from the community. We've had some amazing turnouts in just the few weeks that we've been there. Councilman Johnston and Councilman Asbill has been out and offered us some wonderful support and ideas. So we really appreciate that.
Also, the market it's called a farmer's market, but we have more things than just produce. We have you can explain it more, because I just joined, so she has all the details, but like she explained it to me. I said, well, why do you have a jewelry vendor here, or you're selling soap? Well, Tina, if you want to buy you a pair of earrings and that makes you feel good, that's helping to your wellness and better health. So it's not only a farmer's market. It pertains to the community and to build a person to be healthier, or help me
Yeah.
out with the terminology.
We
here.
have, we are promoting health, well-being, and positivity in the community.
And they have a lot of food there. I mean, you can buy food, eat it there, buy food to go. They have food you can buy, freeze. I mean, there's a lot of different variety of things you can get.
We have fresh meat on the first and third Sunday, and we have fresh produce. We have a lot of vendors who do hot foods that
Crawfish,
you can eat.
beers, all kind of stuff.
You can eat it there, you can take it home. We do have health and wellness products, handmade soaps, probably candles,
Oils.
jewelry, CBD products. But we do have a nice variety, and we are growing. The goal is to have 30 vendors, and we're going to cap it off so that we don't overwhelm the vendors or the community with too many choices. But we want everybody to make money and serve the community.
And we're gonna work on putting more picnic tables out there, because 2 weeks ago, when the weather was nicer, we had a whole family come out and they bought their lunch there and they sat out and they had lunch. So that's the kind of things we're looking for too. I think we're gonna have food trucks coming.
We're working on that.
We have, I think All X, is it All X for You came out last week? Or
We All Asked For You Barbecue is
Right.
now going to be a regular at our market, and so we look forward to having them every Sunday. We are looking forward to a few more tables if we can get those at the playground. But other than
We'll
that,
move some around.
Yeah.
And also, if we have vendors that are interested, on the city's website, under important announcements, there is, all about the farmer's market, giving you the day and time, and a little bit of what it's about, and they have the application form for the vendors.
and you can also visit us on the Facebook page, Harahan Farmers Market, Facebook.
And it's $20 per Sunday, so if a vendor wants to come out, it's $20 per Sunday, and they have to have insurance.
You just submit an application, you have to have vendor liability insurance, you submit that, and the committee makes a decision as to whether or not you will be a vendor at the market, so. Yes, thank you so much for having us.
Thank you all.
See y'all
Yes.
soon.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, real quick, I'd just like to make a note that Finance Director Todd Turnion is he's present via Zoom, so we can just make a note of that
Okay.
in the minutes. Thank you.
Okay, you guys are ready for me to do announcements?
Excuse me, Mayor. You're not on the agenda.
He never was on the agenda. I copy and paste it from Nicole's.
I'm on my agenda, that's right.
Mayor's announcement.
Okay, so this is our monthly report from December 17th to January 20th, just to give the community kind of an update of what we've been doing and where we've been going with the city. Just this year alone, just this year alone, we're over $300,000 in sales tax from the previous year. So that means our economy is growing, our business clientele is growing, and we having more of a presence here. We had grand opening of 3 brand new businesses just this past weekend, which has been incredible, and we love to watch it grow. And we're pro-business here in Harahan, and we support you guys in every single way. This is some of the in business that we're investing in Harahan. We have a lot. You'll see we have a lot of like people redoing their restaurants, redoing all their places, and they're really pushing hard. Red Wagon, Kim Ann's, Liberty Cheesesteak, and Charlie's Seafood is who you see pictured, and they're going to make their places really pretty, better, bigger. You know, that we can fit more. Because sometimes, and I love it when I get to drive the streets and our restaurants are packed, and it's hard to find a place to go. It's been incredible. Next slide. All right. This is Harahan Investing. Now, this is a big deal that we got really going on, and you'll see a lot of what's happening over here on Wilson Street. This is the largest infrastructure project in 50 years. We have a new sewer line installed, new manholes, screw pilings, sewer line. The whole sewer will be relined again once we install it to give it some more stability. All the houses will be tied in, and we'll take their sewer line from the backyard, move it to the street, because where it is presently right now, it's collapsing, and we cannot find anyone to go work because it's in energy servitude, so it's very hard to work underneath the power wires. So we're gonna move that to the street and get it fixed. We're gonna go sidewalk to sidewalk. We're gonna replace the concrete from on the street, on Wilson Street, where we're repairing the lawns. We think it's the right thing to do. We have an issue that we've run into a lot of not so great soil, and we want to make sure that there's no cavities underneath there that can potentially become problems in the future. We're also right now in discussions with the parish as well as to maybe coming through and replacing the water line as we open up the street and maybe put a brand new water line and sewer line, so in the future we won't have so many water main breaks. We got a brand new fire truck, which has been incredible. So all our firemen got it. We went and saw it the other night, and I'm believing the fire department would love for you guys to stop by, check it out. It's incredible. It's incredible for me as a mayor and this council and this administration to be able to present the fire department with a brand new fire truck. It is well deserved and well needed, and our guys are incredibly happy about it, and we're incredibly happy that the city of Harahan has finally taken some big steps forward to solidify our public safety and making sure you guys are safe. I know that a lot of people don't realize how many things the fire department rolls out on. It's incredible. I'm on the text message list, and they roll out, shoot 20 times a day to lift and assist, to CPR calls. Fire calls. These boys are constantly moving. So, we are very fortunate to have them. And this is, we actually gave back a little bit this year. We got a lot of help with Ida, and we had a couple of councilmen, and one of our assistants went up to Sandburg, Tennessee, population 296, small town, for real. And went to go help some people. They got blasted by a tornado, a couple of tornadoes, I believe. And so we went to go try to give some back, just to let you know, if not silly as it may seem, to let the nation know that Harahan's in the game and we're willing to help. And we were so fortunate to get the help that we had gotten, and we're so willing to give back. All right, let's talk about this. So this is our bronze medal rugby team. First year out, we won 3rd place in the club rugby tournament, and which was incredible. We have our own Harahan rugby club team called the Harahan River Coyotes, and we named them after the Harahan River Coyotes, which has been incredible. That's Councilman Wheeler and I handing some toys or tots to the military, and because they were doing a Toys for Tot drive out there. And y'all, we're so proud of our guys. It's just one more thing, one more championship symbol and one more championship team behind the city of Harahan that shows how hard that we're willing to work, how much that we're willing to support, and maybe next year I might actually get on that rugby field. Well, Tim Falcon, the owner of NOLA Gold, gets on that rugby field, and if Tim Falcon can get on that field, I certainly can get on that field. Now, he did only play one play, don't get me wrong, but he was out there and did it, so I can't let Tim Falcon show me up. So, and that's awesome. So thank you very much, guys. Listen, we're always here at the city. These councilmen are incredibly active. I'm very proud to be a part of this administration with these councilmen. They're always involved. They're in the streets. They move just as much as I do, if not some move more. And man, always never hesitate to pick up the phone. Always call them. They're here to help. And if not, can't get you the answer, they'll call me and we'll get the answer for you together. But we're always working hard because we love the city. And we do this because we love it. That's for sure. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Tim.
Okay, Madam Clerk, approval of the minutes.
Approval of minutes. Reading of the minutes of the special meeting on December 6th,
Okay, can I get a
2021.
motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes of the special meeting on December 6th? We have a motion by Councilman Chatelain, second by Councilman Asbill. We'll now open for public hearing. No one coming to speak forth. We'll now close public hearing. All in favor?
Yay.
5 yeas, 0 nays. Minutes have been dispensed. The reading
Approval of the minutes of the special meeting on December 6th.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve those minutes?
Move.
Motion by Councilman Asbill, second by Councilman Buddy. We'll now open for public hearing. Anyone wanting to speak forth? No one coming. We'll now close public hearing. All in favor?
Yay.
5 yeas, 0 nays. Those minutes are approved.
Reading of the minutes of the council meeting on December 16th, 2001.
Can I get a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes of December 16, 2021? I have a motion by Councilman Chatelain, second by Councilman Asbill. We're now open for public hearing. No one coming to speak forth. We'll now close public hearing. All in favor?
Yay.
5 yeas, 0 nays. Reading of the minutes has been dispensed.
Approval of the minutes of the council meeting on December 16th, 2021.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve those
Motion.
meetings? We have a motion by Councilman Buddy, second by Councilman Asbill. We're now open for public hearing. No one coming to speak forth. We'll now close public hearing. All in favor?
Yay.
5 yeas, 0 nays. The minutes are approved.
We have no communications at this time, no resolutions, ordinances for approval.
It takes a
Proposed,
little bit of practice, y'all.
Proposed ordinance 2021-19. The following ordinance was proposed by Councilman Chatelain and seconded by Councilman Wheeler. An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Harahan to execute an agreement with the Board of Trustees of the Municipal Employees Retirement System.
Okay, so I have a motion on the floor by Councilman Wheeler to defer. Have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Chatelain. We're now in for public hearing. No one coming to speak forth. Motion to defer. All in favor?
Yeah.
5 yeas, 0 nays. We are deferring. This is, just real brief, guys. We're looking into putting a retirement system in plan for the city of employees, for the city of Harahan. They have no retirement program at the moment. We think it's necessary. We think it's necessary to give us, the city, the opportunity to go out and recruit that employee that is looking for a career with longevity. And now as they walk into the city, you know, we don't, other than health insurance, we don't really have much to offer. We think that this is the way to go, offering them retirement package. And so it's something that I hope I can get the council to get on board with me.
So-
And I know I will.
I'm gonna have a discussion. The reason we deferring this is basically, the way it looks right now is everyone has to join. And you have some employees who can't afford to join. They can't afford to put up their $10 a month, $10 a week, you know. So we don't want to put this in place and force them to have to put up their contribution if they don't want to. So we're in the works right now, trying to figure out this way where people can opt in, opt out. We don't want to just go ahead and throw it and tell them they're forced to do this. It's not fair to some people. But the ultimate goal is to have the retirement set up to keep your employees, to keep a valuable employee here. They need a professional career to stay somewhere. If they don't have that, they have no
No
reasons to
stay.
stay. I mean, they could just run around, jump,
Do we have
chase
a
money.
plan? Is there a plan?
Well, what happened, for the moment right now, what we're trying to figure out is where the council's sitting on it, because we do have a plan, and like Councilman Chatelain has said, it is an opt-in, an opt-all-in, and I know that you and I had to discuss the cost that it would, give the burden that it would become to the city, and so what we're trying to do is maybe search the idea of other plans where some can opt out. I would, and I know it's, maybe different, but if I have an opportunity to opt in a retirement plan, I'm gonna encourage every employee to do that, because you should. It's the smart business. And so we're looking for that alternative, and we're also discussing it with the team here in City Hall. And then once we do have a concrete idea of where we're going and we can solidify some ideas, we wanna come back and present the council with a dollar figure and a package concept.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Proposed ordinance number 2021-20. The following ordinance was proposed by Councilman Asbill and seconded by Councilman Wheeler. An ordinance providing for the creation of a new accrued liabilities committed fund balance within the general fund of the City of Harahan budget and providing for the funding and policies of the fund.
Okay, so we'll now open this to public hearing. Anyone that comes to speak forth, come speak. If not, we'll now close public hearing. All right, now we're gonna go into council discussion. Jason, it's yours. You wanna start?
Yeah, that'd be great, I'm sorry. So this was an ordinance that I brought up to kind of, we've got a pretty big outstanding liability that's due to employees when they separate service with the city, to the tune, as of December 31st, 2020, of $581,000 plus. That's basically unpaid leave that they've earned, and the city doesn't have it funded. So this would help set aside the cash to make sure that we have those funds when those guys leave, or they retire, or anything else that separates their service, right? So there is one amendment that I'm going to propose that was suggested by the finance director to kind of make sure that the cash is there, because what we did originally was just do a committed fund balance. So he's also he suggested to make sure that the cash is there is that you commit, you open a bank account for that committed fund balance and actually set the cash aside in a bank account rather than just carrying it forward on a fund balance where it's not really there, right? The money's not. So take questions on it. Do we want to hear the amendment first, or do we want to just proceed with discussion?
Let's go with your amendment.
Okay, my amendment is adding a new paragraph C under section 1 that says the committed fund balance shall be held in its own bank account in an amount equal to that set by the council. I have that in writing for the clerk.
So you would do a new C, and then C would become D?
That's right. Yes, and re-letter the current C to D.
Okay, do y'all want to continue on the discussion? Y'all want to go ahead and see if y'all want to adopt this amendment?
I'd like to discuss.
Okay.
After we vote on the amendment.
Okay, cool. All right, so we have amendment on the
That's
floor.
the only amendment.
We have amendment on the floor by Councilman Asbill, seconded by
I'll second it.
Councilman Buddy. Will now open that amendment for public discussion. No one coming to speak forth. We'll now close public discussion. We have a motion by Councilman Asbill, second by Councilman Buddy. All in favor?
Okay.
Yeah.
5 yeas, 0 nays. Ordinance is amended.
Thank you, and I think, again, I think this is kind of a good government, maybe best practice to make sure we have those liabilities covered.
Councilman Will? Anything? Okay. Councilman Stalin?
I understand the liability issue, that we need the money here, the funds available to pay out that liability. To take the first initial $300,000, it's a big chunk to take at one time. I want to see if we can amend that, maybe to 150, and then start calculating from there. I mean, I understand you need the money there. I mean, right now you have nothing allocated for it.
Right.
So if we could start with something, it'll
Yeah.
give us a start. I mean, I know you got to shoot for the sky, you know.
Yeah, I'm open to amendments on the amount, but just to assure you that, I mean, I know we don't want to tie up the cash if we don't have to, but the finance director said that we have the cash to move that, but if we want to start with a smaller amount, I'm good with, somebody wants to make an amendment to it.
So I'd make a motion to amend line 28, change that 300,000 to 150.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor to change line 28 from 300,000 to 150,000, second by Councilman Asbill. We're open for public discussion. No one coming to speak forth. We'll close public discussion. All in favor?
Yay.
5 yeas, 0 nays. Amendment has been adopted.
And another question, I don't think we have a cap out on here.
Yeah, so the cap out is going to be whatever it is on the,
Spreadsheet.
on the annual audit. So annual audit, it puts, every year, it puts a balance as of the December 31st of the previous year, and that's the cap out. Right.
I think the opt-out might be section 2C. Is that intended to cover the maximum?
The cap out,
Yeah.
the cap?
Take a look at that, Councilman Asbill. I think
That's right. That's correct.
Annual amount leave as present.
So the way I'm reading it, and maybe it could be tweaked, but,
It could go up or down, honestly.
Yeah.
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 All right, so we're gonna vote?
Well, we voted on that.
Discussion?
More council
Okay.
discussion?
You had any discussion?
Yeah, I do have some discussion. One of the reasons that I was, complimented Council Asbill on bringing this forward, and something we were trying to accomplish, is when a person with tenure, who's been here for.
Mr. Buddy, speak up. Thank you.
Is that better?
Yes.
I'm sorry. We've had instances in the past where employees, long-term employees have left, and the department, and this has been the police and the fire departments, without a budgeted amount, employees have left, terminated their employment for whatever reason, they get paid whatever's accrued by law, and it's been significant, 6 figures. So we've had budget overruns in departments where no one did anything wrong. The city doesn't budget for it because we don't know when someone's going to retire. And so that's created some issues. In private enterprise, companies are required, according to generally accepted accounting principles, to accrue those earned benefits, expense them in the year in which they're earned, and when they're paid out, they get paid against a liability account. So it doesn't hit the company's profit and loss when the employee's paid. It hits their profit, basically their bottom line, and when it's earned.
Yearly.
Our finance director has, as I understand him, and I think I did, explain that governmental accounting doesn't allow for that. So in a perfect world, we would create this up to $583,000, $84,000 have it in a liability account, we would hit it in our budget in the year we fund it as an expense, whether that's 300,000 in the first year or 100, and then 50, 50, 50. We would add it to this fund, and when a gentleman or a lady leaves the police department and they get a check for $42,000, we would take it out of here. It doesn't affect the police department's budget. There's no stress because the police department's got a budget overrun for something they could not control. Same thing happens in the fire department. This doesn't help with that. What this does is it takes some money. By the way, paying these bills have never been a problem. It's owed, the city's always managed to pay them. And it just hits our budget, our overall operating budget for the year. We've managed to do this for the last 4 years and still, with the exception of 2021, because of IDA, we've run a positive budget. We've never overspent our budget. The money's always been there to pay these bills. It's not a problem. But if we commit this money to an account, if another IDA hits, we can't use this money for emergencies. It's now committed. I don't see the purpose, the benefit of committing the money. All we're doing by this ordinance, we're taking 300,000, 100,000, whatever might be passed, and we're putting it aside. Think of it as a lockbox. We're saying we can only use it for one purpose. So we're removing the flexibility of the administration to deal with future cash demands, emergency situations. We got through IDA by using non-committed money. Money's intended for other reasons. And if all of our money was committed, say, think of it as a lockbox account, I'm not sure how the mayor would have navigated IDA. So I think it's not best business practice to lock money aside. We have the liability. It's noted. It's not going away. Historically, when an employee leaves, they get paid. It's a payroll expense for that week. It's a budget overrun because we have no money budgeted for that. But it's never been a cash problem. We have other unfunded liabilities, pension accounts in the millions. The same thing can be said about that. If we were in private business, the federal government would require us to fund that. We'd have to come up with a couple $1 million. If we lock that money aside, it's a real liability. If we lock that money aside, we need $2 million. And you can't use it to run city business. So while I applaud funding liabilities, and I think it is a good practice, a good conservative fiscal practice, this doesn't get us around the annual grief caused when employees leave and we have budget overruns in operating departments. We're the council, we're sitting there saying, Chief, why'd you overrun your budget? Well, somebody left, completely out of the chief's control. So I don't think it solves the problem, and I think it just ties money up that we may need otherwise. We're taking it out of our available operating cash. Having said that also, I've asked numerous times for a cash analysis to see which cash we have in the city of Harahan that is not committed, and which cash we have in the city of Harahan that is committed. And I haven't seen that yet. So I don't know that we have $300,000 or $150,000. And I'm not sure what that does to our available cash for operating expenses. So for those reasons, while I applaud the effort and if it would solve the problem of budgeting, I'd be 100% behind it. But because I don't see a benefit, I see a negative, I'm opposed to it just for those issues. But thank you.
don't have anything, but I'd like to hear, if we can get Todd to be able to hear Todd from there, I'd like his opinion on it.
Yeah, so Todd's ready to talk if we want to.
Sure, no, I'm happy to chat, and I apologize that I can't be there in person. We're still under COVID lockdown here at the house, and so I appreciate your flexibility in allowing me to dial in tonight. So just a few brief comments, and then I'm happy to answer any questions if I missed anything. Mr. That in the commercial world, a payable or liability would be booked on the organization, and as the amounts are used, as folks terminate or resign, and the amounts are paid, those will be charged against the liability. And that's just not the way that governmental accounting tells us that these amounts should be recorded. Basically, governmental accounting does not record long-term liabilities and long-term assets like your buildings on the fund statements. So that's why the liability is not recorded. Mr. Buddy's correct with that. As folks come and go each year, you know, the amounts are paid and charged to the appropriate department within the general fund. Again, those amounts vary based on the departures that occur within each individual year. Just in commentary on the over budget items, you know, the intent and the practice that we put in place, I believe, for the city is to do budget amendments near the end of the year in October, November, to account for any overruns or any expense amounts in excess of the budget amounts. I believe that there may have been an instance or two over the past few years where the budget amendment did not consider the annual leave payouts, and I think those situations, Mr. Buddy, was when we had a termination or a payout that was in November or December, late November or December, and those amounts simply were just not considered or not aware of as we went through the budget amendment process at October, November, and December budget hearings. So the budget overruns should be addressed each year as part of the budget amendment process. That's what should happen. I believe does happen, with the exception of, like I said, there was a termination, and I don't remember which department it was in, but there was a termination in November, December that just didn't make its way into the budget amendment process. On the cash balances, we can certainly provide that information to you, Mr. Buddy. Happy to do so. The general fund cash balance at this time is in excess of $1 million. So we've had the sales tax deposits, some franchise fee deposits that we receive on a quarterly basis, and we've started to receive some of the licenses, occupational licenses that they've sent out bills recently. And so that's kind of where we are in the general fund, but just to give the committee and the public some comfort, that we do have adequate cash currently within the general fund and have had adequate cash in the general fund over the past few years. So that's just a few thoughts and comments. I'm happy to answer any additional questions, or if I missed anything, Mr. Buddy, in your comments or questions, I'd be happy to answer.
So the cash balance we have today is largely the result of collection of property taxes in December of last year to be spent during 2022. So that cash is largely built into our budget. There's cash, Todd, that I would like an analysis when you can reasonably get it to me. But we've got monies that we receive from the federal government and the state, that one of the things we're going to be discussing tonight is moving that money into a fund. But I don't know how much of that money or any borrowings we may have made in the last 20 days of this year that are in that $1 million. So there's a lot of moving parts to cash. And because the city gets most of its cash in December, all the property tax, or 99% of it comes in December to be spent in the following year, it takes a little bit more than just what that balance is today to make me comfortable with it. But Todd, let me ask you this question. What is the benefit to the city of putting either $300,000 or $150,000, whatever amount the council might decide this year, into a lockbox? What does it solve? And do you think it's best business practice for the city to commit money for a liability in this matter? What benefit is this to the city, and what's the benefit to locking away an amount of money for an ongoing liability which we faced every year without this lockbox approach? What's your thoughts,
Sure.
Todd?
Sure. So the main benefit I see to the city is that it provides some certainty that the cash amounts would be on hand in the event that there's either a mass exodus or some point in time where a substantial amount would need to be paid for the annual leave or the sick payouts. In the recent past, the city has not had a cash flow issue. Certainly don't know what the future holds in terms of uncertainties or other unexpected events. So I think one of the benefits is just having the cash on the side and having it available for those for this purpose in the future. In terms of recommendations for committing these funds, certainly at any future date, any future council could uncommit these funds. That's certainly an option. And then just one other kind of point to add, and if I'm mistaken, I'll welcome any feedback from the council members or the mayor. But the city already commits the video poker fund, which are about $300,000 projects and used in the capital projects fund. That's at the council's discretion, done many years ago. But that, than those funds, I would say, other than it's not a separate fund. But it would be a commitment that's not much different than what currently happens every year at $300,000 for the capital project fund. But I'm happy to answer any questions, or if I missed something, please let me know.
Yeah, Todd, I think also.
Thank you, Todd.
I think also, I don't know if you addressed, but there was some concern about the current cash balance. But as you explained to me earlier, in addition to the $1 million we have on hand in the general fund, you get about $200,000 per month plus in sales tax and $100,000 plus per quarter in franchise fees. So there is ongoing deposits throughout the year that would continue to build that balance or recover it.
Todd, do you have a budget projection for cash balances at the end of the year?
He asked if you had a budget projection for cash balances at the end of the year.
No, sir. No, but we do have, but the budget's balanced. The budget for the general fund is balanced. So my expectation would be that the cash balance at the end of the year should be similar to what it is at the beginning of the year, absent any drawdowns on the line of credit.
But we're taking $300,000 out of that. And just for everyone's understanding, our fund balance is not cash. Governmental accounting is confusing. It's developed over hundreds of years, and it makes sense, I guess, to people who work with it a lot. But when we say fund balance, most of us think that's cash. It's not. It's our net assets. And some of that fund balance is represented by this building. They can't spend it. So a cash projection at the end of the year, whatever it is, we're just taking whatever we do with this amount, we're removing it from that cash availability. So if we were going to break even on our operations this year, we have a balanced budget projected, we're taking $300,000 out of it, or $150,000. So, again, I don't see I don't know that any other municipalities do this. Todd, do any other municipalities that you're aware of do this?
Not that I'm aware of, no. No.
We like to be the first for a lot of things.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you, Todd. I appreciate the information.
Yes, sir.
Before we move on, there is one other small edit amendment that I need to make that the finance director pointed out to me. Line 28 should say December 31st, not 21st. So I move to amend line 28. My mic's off. Now it's on. So amend line 28 to read December 31st rather than December 21st.
So we have a motion by Councilman Hasbro to edit line 28. We'll now open for public hearing. No one comes to speak forth. We'll now close public hearing to move it from the dates one more time, Councilman?
December 31st, from December 21st to December 31st.
What he said. All in favor?
Yeah.
All, 5 yeas, 0 nays. It is amended.
Move to vote with 3 amendments.
Okay, so we have a motion, proposed ordinance number 2021 that's been amended 3 times. We'll now open for public hearing the amendment that has been amended. Anyone want to come speak forth? We'll now open for public hearing. No one coming. We'll close public hearing. Okay, all in favor on proposed ordinance 2021 as amended with 3 amendments?
Nay.
Yay.
Yay.
All right, 4 yeas, 1 nay. Ordinance passes. Thank you, Council.
Just to be clear, I'm sorry. Councilman Wheeler's over here poking me in the side. Just to clarify, what we've done to the public is that we have set aside $150,000 to start covering liabilities of annual leave that employees earn, so that when they leave, we can make sure we're able to pay those as a city. Thank you.
Where it doesn't affect the budget.
Right.
What was that?
Where it doesn't affect the budget.
No, well,
Doesn't affect the line item
It doesn't
budget.
There you
affect the
go.
back side of the
There you
budget, but it affects the front side.
Yeah.
All right, proposed ordinance number 2021-23, Madam Clerk.
The following ordinance was proposed by Councilman Asbill and seconded by Councilman
I'll second.
Chatelain. An ordinance providing for the creation of a new ARPA Revenue Special Fund within the City of Harahan budget and providing for the funding and policies of the fund.
Okay, anyone want to come speak on proposed ordinance 2021-23? Public hearing is now open. Anyone coming to speak for it? Now public hearing is closed, and we'll start council discussion.
Ours are off.
Did we open public hearing yet?
We did, we opened and closed public hearing, so we now want to
Council
council
discussion.
discussion.
Oh, so it's
We
to
all
me.
on you.
So it's to me. Okay, got it.
It's your ordinance.
So this ordinance creates a new special fund for the ARPA funds. For the public's benefit, as of March of this year, the city will have received $3.7 million from the American Rescue Plan Act, which was passed back in the summer of '21 by the federal government. That's federal money, new federal money that we get to allocate throughout the city. Federal money has different reporting and accounting requirements than our normal budget. And so this would set aside that money so that we can better track those funds and spend those funds more efficiently. Again, I think this is another good government and best business practice ordinance to do that.
Councilman Wheeler?
I'd like to hear what Todd has, the finance director has to say about this ordinance.
All right, we'll now open the floor to Todd Tulion, Finance Director. Todd?
Great, thank you, Councilman Wheeler. Just a few thoughts on this one. The ARPA Special Revenue Fund is something that we would typically see in other municipalities or other organizations. There's several fund types in governmental accounting. There's the general fund, whichever municipality has, and then there's quote, special revenue funds, debt service funds, or capital project funds. That's the 4 fund types typically. Special revenue funds, it's very common for special revenue funds to be created for either a standalone federal grant or for other specific state grants or specific funding sources. Our sales tax fund is a special revenue fund by definition. So this would create the ARPA Special Revenue Fund, where those funds would be deposited and the expenditures would be expensed within this fund. And this is kind of the norm and what we would see from an accounting standpoint in many municipalities. So if that answers your questions, Ms. Wheeler, or others, I'd be happy to help.
So Todd, I have a question. Didn't you say there was already an account already established for this?
Yeah, so just to add, so we have, you know, we had some comment at the prior council meeting and just, you know, so the city has opened an account and already funded it with the ARPA funds. So that happened in early January. No different than the city had opened other accounts in the past as needed over the past year or two. And so as of today, the city has an ARPA bank account open, and it has 1.7 million, whatever the exact number is, that the federal government funded to the city in 2021. That exact number is on deposit within the ARPA bank account as of today.
Thank you.
So Todd, I have a couple questions. So you basically have an ARP account already set up, which gives the mayor free range to go and spend this as we feel needed. If we set this up through this ordinance, it'd have to come to council approval every time we want to spend the money on the improvements we need. Correct?
That's the way it's written with, I think, item B in row 19,
Yes.
19 and 20. Yes.
All right, thank you.
Todd, regarding Councilman Chatelain's point about Section 1B, the mayor is not authorized to spend any money other than what's budgeted by the council, correct? Generally.
Yes, the city would need a budget,
Right.
an overall budget for the ARPA fund for the city or the mayor to expend those funds, correct? Currently, there's no budget
Right.
for any ARPA expenditures in the 2022 budget that was presented and approved by the council. So that would be correct, Mr. Buddy.
Okay. And again, I think this is, you know, it's a good practice, but I'm not yet convinced that we're not going to need this money to cover shortfalls created by Hurricane Ida until FEMA reimbursement for Ida expenses are collected. So I like this in concept. I think it is good government. I like segregating it to a separate account so it'll make any audits down the road easier. But I'm just not confident that the city commits these monies that at the end of the year, when we're not getting the big hit from property taxes, that we don't run out of cash. But that's my concerns.
Just got a question. ARPA funds are designated for certain situations, correct, Todd?
There is guidance out from the federal government and U.S. Treasury on what the funds can be used for. There was a final rule that came out recently. I won't say that I have read them yet. It came out only very recently, last week. The approved expenditures are somewhat broad under the federal rules, but there are specific requirements as to what the funds do have to be spent on, yes.
All right, and you said the account's set up right now, but where in the budget, I guess, are these funds, they're just rotting in limbo right now?
Right,
It's
all we
nothing
did
on
was
on our books. It's
open a
not in our
bank account
books.
and move $1.7 million from the general fund to this ARPA bank account, and there's been no expenditures or no disbursements of those funds.
Right, so it's pretty much just in limbo, like we don't have anything on the budget on it, is what we're pretty much getting at, yeah.
Funds are allocated for nothing yet.
Right.
Todd, did we spend any of that money, that 1.7 million, to cover IT expenses?
I mean, it was in the general fund and commingled with the general fund expenses. Some of the cash, may have been used to fund the FEMA expenses, but it was all commingled, Mr. Buddy, and that's
Well,
part of the reason to frankly get it out into its own separate account.
and I understand, but how much have we drawn down on the line of credit that we approved recently?
Sure, so the council approved a $2 million line of credit at the December meeting, and the city drew down $1 million in December.
Okay, so would the city have been able to fund that 1.7 million in this account had not we borrowed $1 million? Would we have had the cash to do that?
So it would have been a challenge. Yes,
So
agreed.
we borrowed money at a 3% annual interest rate, $1 million, that's $30,000 a year we're gonna spend on a recurring basis, so we can put this money into a separate account. That's the cost of doing this, and if we put the other 1.7 million in there, we may not have to borrow it down on the line any further. But, so, again, when I say, cash is the big picture item, Todd, and you know this, I'm preaching to the choir. What we've done, in order to fund this 1.7 million, to enable that to happen, we borrowed $1 million. And that's gonna cost the city $30,000 in 2022 in interest expense. That's the cost of committing money. That 1.7 million, which ultimately has to be spent, replenished, whatever, from borrowings or FEMA receipts at some point in time, has to be spent according to FEMA requirements. But in the interim, it's my feeling, and I haven't seen it in black and white, that money got this city through Ida in better shape than many of our sister cities. Without that, we'd had some pretty serious cash flow problems. With that money, we were able to get through Hurricane Ida's extreme non-recurring expenses. And hopefully, we're gonna get reimbursed for all of those monies from FEMA. If not 100%, hopefully we get 95% or some large amount of it, because it's significant, as I recall. Mayor, you said it was about $2 million. But without that 1.7 million available to utilize, we wouldn't have gotten through Ida. We might have been not making payroll or not picking up trees and limbs in the streets. So again, when you start committing this money, it removes the ability to handle issues that may come up. So, thank you.
And Todd, on this ARPA funds, as far as like Ida goes, we would be able to utilize these funds for the whole storm, for everything we need until it's reimbursed, or?
What's done was done, and perhaps some of the cash was commingled within the general fund, but I think moving forward, the ARPA funds need to be segregated. That would be best practice, and what the city should do. So I would think if the city needs financing to fund any ongoing FEMA expenses, that the line of credit is what should be used, or we have to explore other options, delay payments to vendors, or, explore other options. I don't think the ARPA funds, should be the bank that we should look to borrow moving forward to fund FEMA expenses.
Right, and if we do, with this ordinance, I mean, pretty much states that if something is considered under ARPA, the council can always come and take some of the money and use it with a majority vote.
Well, right now, there's no council-approved budget for the ARPA funds.
Right, I'm talking about if this ordinance passes. If this ordinance passes and they have ARPA funds that, say another storm comes and we're able to use it, some of the ARPA money for the storm, the council can always come, if this is passed, the council can always come later and majority vote to use some of those monies for the next storm.
For the city to expend any ARPA funds, the council will have to pass a budget, because
Correct.
currently there's zero budget for the ARPA funds. So yes, any expenses out of the ARPA fund would require the council approval and passing of a budget for this fund.
Right, and right now, we have the bank account set up, but is the money still, how is the money looking right now on paper? I mean, is it commingling with general funds still? I'm still not following that 100%.
It's not what happened, we actually, so we had the 1.7 was moved into a separate account, but in order to move that 1.7, because we got two payments for ARPA coming, 1.7 last year, 1.7 this
A
year.
different bank account, but where is it at in the accounting part of it?
Separate fund, it's not in our
It's
budget.
just not showing.
showing.
It's not showing anywhere.
What Councilman Asbill's.
So this would
Go ahead.
make it show somewhere,
Right,
so that we see where it is and where it's going at the end of the day.
right, because if we don't pass this and they just have the fund, I mean, we should get a paper saying, hey, we have this much money sitting in this account, but it's nowhere on the accounting at all.
But even without this ordinance, we're gonna have something put in place to show it on the
That is
budget
correct.
following year.
And like Mr.
Correct.
Black's concern is, and that's all our concern, we definitely want we basically created its own bank account.
To keep it separate.
Right.
If you keep it commingled, you're gonna get in trouble.
Right,
It's committed,
I understand that.
so Mr. Buddy, and what, I agree with him, and when we have to start to be careful how we start committing, just in case, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, I understand, I just wanted to clarify that's all. Yep.
But this ordinance would treat that account like a capital project account.
Right,
To where it would
correct,
need
It
council
would need council
approval
approval
every
if the
time.
mayor had to spend something.
right,
To
There's
where,
already a separate account already created. This would just allow,
right, and this will put it on our books.
correct, it's like a pseudo capital
I
project
get it.
account.
without this ordinance, it's still gonna be put on our books. We have a separate line
Right,
item
right,
for it. It's just
exactly.
the money's gonna be in a separate
Right, eventually, right.
account allocated for ARPA, and we would have to approve ARPA through our budget,
I
our
believe,
regular budget.
and Todd can correct me, that it would appear on our audited financial statement as much as our sewer fund appears. We don't deal with that budget. We don't look at those numbers monthly. It's not part of the general
Right,
fund.
right.
So the money would appear, whether it were in a separate account or not, it would appear as if we were keeping it all on a spreadsheet, which the city did for many years. It was only during this administration that the funds were separated, and actual accounts were created. And I'm not sure we're 100% there yet. So I think the accounting treatment of it doesn't change, the separation of it. And Todd, you just said something, and I want to ask you to repeat it, because I think it's significant, and it's got me coming around. You said that you think the funds need to be separated. Do you think that's a requirement?
There's very few, just in my experience, other than some of the DOJ funds, which the police department has, that have very specific requirements for separate bank accounts. Most federal funds do not have that same requirement, but I think given the dollar amount here, I would recommend that we have a separate account, so there's no question in regards to any commingling of funds or use of funds for an inappropriate purpose within the general fund. I just think it's much cleaner and will be an easier audit trail to have it in a separate bank account. And then as the council approves the budget for the ARPA funds in the future in 2022, then the city will have authorization to incur some disbursements and we'll have a clear trail.
Got it.
Did that
Thank you, Todd.
answer your
Todd,
question, Mr.
I have
Money?
one final question, and it has really nothing to do with the dollars in the account, but appreciating that the interpretation of what we can do with these monies is complex, and there's been nothing decided yet as to what the city can do with these monies and comply with the strings that it came with. Do you have a feel for when you might be able to advise us on that? Are we a month out from you getting your arms around that? Are we 3 months out? Or is there a way that you can project when you might be able to advise the council on what we can spend this money on?
Sure, no, so I think, advising the council on the appropriate use or the available options or uses of funds is a short term. I can send that email out and that guidance out to the council tomorrow. What I think that is necessary for the city as a whole to make a decision is the administration, working with the council, needs to develop a potential plan and use of the funds to present to the council for the council's approval as a budget item. So I can send the guidance out to the council tomorrow. It's not, it's somewhat lengthy, but it's not hundreds of pages of documentation. So I can send that out tomorrow.
Now, is this something that you've critiqued and or is this a federal government document you're planning to send, or is it? It's a federal government document. Okay.
Right, it's all federal, it'll be links to federal government websites and US Treasury websites. I can comb some of the AICPA guidance, and I can check with the auditors and see if they have any kind of illustrative guidance to provide us, but generally my experience just over the past 2 years with all the COVID-related stuff, everyone's going to link back to what the U.S. Treasury puts out and what the federal government puts out. So,
Todd, do me a favor, read over it, send me the cliff notes. We're gonna move forward from there.
sir.
Thank you, Todd.
Thanks, Todd. I move for the vote on proposed ordinance 2021-23.
Second.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion by Councilman Asbill, second by Councilman Wheeler to proceed with the vote of proposed ordinance 2021-23. All in favor?
Yay.
Nay.
Nay.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, hold. Pull that back. We had to open for public hearing. All right, no one come to speak forth. We'll now close public hearing. I'm sorry, one more time on that vote.
Nay.
Yay.
Yay.
So I'm sorry, what is the vote?
We're voting on proposed ordinance 2021-23 to set aside this account and make it like a capital fund project
One more
account.
time. All in favor?
Yay.
All right, all in favor?
Yay.
Yay.
Nay.
Jason?
Yay.
So 3 yeas, 2 nays. Ordinance passes. Madam Clerk.
Proposed ordinance number 2021-24. The following ordinance was proposed by Councilman Asbill and seconded by Councilman Chatelain. An ordinance providing for the creation of a new FEMA Revenue Special Fund within the City of Harahan budget and providing for the funding and policies of the fund.
Okay, so we'll open for public hearing. Anyone want to speak on proposed ordinance 21-24? All right, no one coming to speak. We'll now close public hearing and we'll start the council discussion. Councilman Asbill, it's your ordinance. You have the floor.
On my ordinance, this is very similar. This is almost exactly the same as the last ordinance. Rather than ARPA, it takes in the FEMA funds, and we've received FEMA funds before. They've been relatively minute in comparison to what we'll be receiving in FEMA funds from this storm. So this does the same thing, just to track those funds more appropriately and hopefully more effectively. And these FEMA funds, they're going to be replacing or reimbursing the city, replacing city property, things like that. These are not restricted by council vote because the mayor has to be able to use these funds and pay the bills as they come in.
And you just basically want to set up a separate bank account.
That's right, separate bank account, separate accounting, fund to track them better.
Councilman Wheeler?
Todd, is there not a FEMA account already established?
So, one item just that I didn't mention in the prior one is one of the benefits, particularly for the FEMA fund and the ARPA separate funds, is by taking it out of the general fund, it allows for more comparability in the general fund from year to year. You know, in the recent past, we've received some minimal FEMA reimbursements and some minimal FEMA expenses. But with the scale and scope perhaps of the expenses on FEMA thus far, it really tilts the size of the general fund. And so that's one of the reasons why this was proposed. There is not a FEMA fund set up. As of today, we had not set up the bank account, primarily because we haven't received any FEMA money to date. We've spent a bunch of money. The city has spent funds, but there's no money to, I guess, put in a bank account because the city has not been reimbursed by FEMA for anything related to IDA at this time. Did that answer your question?
Yes, sir, thank you.
Perfect. Yes, ma'am.
So the first money coming in for the FEMA funds, we go back to repay our general funds, correct?
Yes.
Was that a yes?
Yes.
Yes.
But the ordinance doesn't say that.
Correct.
It's completely silent to use of funds.
That was gonna be one of my questions.
That's not what Eric asked. He just asked if the money that would come in would go back and replenish what we expended for FEMA.
I would assume that's the intention, but the ordinance doesn't say that.
I think he was discussing insurance.
I'm just trying
Oh,
to
I'm
clear
sorry.
up
Right, just a generic,
Yeah, that-
where we're going with it.
right.
So, in the past,
Thank you, Eric.
historically, Todd, I believe when FEMA monies came in, they went into the general fund. They went into the general bank account. And they were recognized through budget amendments, correct?
Yes. Yes.
And I share the same question is, an assumption, I'm gonna state my assumption, is that the majority of these FEMA monies that come in are just replenishing the general fund for monies that were spent already.
Yes. That's the way,
I mean, because we're applying for these funds based upon monies spent, correct?
Correct.
And that is what, those expenditures resulted in a disaster of a 2021 budget.
And will spend.
We went from a projected positive year to a huge negative year because we spent some $2 million recovering from IDA.
You're gonna get more FEMA money in than we spent out.
Okay.
Because we need to make the repair. So we would take the money, replenish what we spent first, then the excess money would be used for the excess repairs that we haven't made yet.
So
So
the-
guys, that's why I've put this paragraph B in there, because we don't know how we're gonna spend this money yet. So once we create this fund, we get Todd T to recommend some policies on how we administer this fund. Because we don't know how we're gonna do that yet, and we don't know whether when we get the cash, does it go straight into the bank account, or does it go into the general fund to reimburse the general fund, or does it go to the bank account and then we reimburse the general fund?
Right, and I'm in favor of this because I believe it would go into this account. That way you'll know exactly what came in. You take it out of this account, replenish the general fund.
Right.
What we spent already. I believe we're all on the same page up here.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
this is just a better, easier way to keep track of what came in, what went out.
Yeah, and initially, all the money is gonna be mostly reimbursements, right? But as we go down the line, there's significant FEMA money that hopefully will be coming in to plus up our insurances to rebuild these buildings and rebuild our
Upgrade.
city. Yeah, upgrade our city, so.
I have no problems with this, but my two concerns, as like Mrs. Tommy brought up, is that nowhere in this ordinance does it really state that it's gonna go pay off the general
It's
fund, whatever.
basically right where it says the finance director shall propose policies.
by way
Right,
of-
but
by
we
way
should
of-
have had the policies before.
Right.
I think this is
By way of example,
putting
an
the
ordinance,
wagon before the horse.
Yeah, an ordinance we're gonna discuss next, insurance claim proceeds, has a sequence of use. And it would seem like this one should have that same similar sequence of use with the funds received reimbursing the city for, the general fund should be used to reimburse the general fund for general fund expenses.
We can make that.
Funds received for
What else do we do
capital,
with the funds?
project, or damage to capital property would go to the capital fund. It's just,
I think it would be kind of understood if
disagree
we're
on
getting a reimbursement check from FEMA, that those funds would reimburse the city for expenses already paid. But I mean, if you want clarity, I'm assuming we can add a paragraph in there that would say.
yeah, I don't think it would be difficult. And again, there was
Okay.
a sequence, or a use of funds in 2021-25 that we're gonna discuss next.
All right.
Make a motion for 5-minute recess, for a couple things, and then we'll reconvene.
Second.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Let me just make sure, all in favor?
Yay.
All right, 5 yeas, 0 nays, we'll take a 5-minute recess. All right, we're gonna call the meeting back to order at 8:31.
Thank you for the recess, Mr. Mayor. We are on proposed ordinance 2021-24.
You're so welcome, sir.
If the council will entertain, I've got an amendment to make the other, to hopefully make this ordinance a little bit better.
Okay.
On my amendment, we are making a new paragraph B. Nope.
You already have the,
We're making a new B.
okay.
And B is
Can say,
Nope. Making a new paragraph B that will read, and I've got it written down, I'll hand it to the clerk
Section 1,
afterwards.
Paragraph B.
Section
being
1,
removed,
paragraph-
Being replaced with a new B?
No. The old section B is gonna be renumbered at some point. You want me to do that now? Oh,
Three-letter?
we're gonna re-letter old section B, section E.
Oh, we need that.
You guys got that, man?
We have a new paragraph B that reads FEMA reimbursement for monies expended by the city for the Hurricane Ida emergency expenses shall first be used to reimburse the city's general fund.
Okay.
Paragraph C, FEMA funds received by the city of Harahan for property damages shall be, oh boy. Shall be transferred to the capital fund for said use upon council approval. Paragraph D, FEMA monies received for items other than uses specified in subsections B or C shall be utilized as per council approval.
What was the account, I'm sorry?
FEMA monies received for items other than uses specified in sections B or C shall be utilized as per council approval.
Okay, so we'll open for public hearing. No one coming to speak forth. We'll now close public hearing. And now we'll go to council discussion, or we can go for the vote to amend the ordinance.
I got a
Discussion on the
question.
amendments.
I got a question about C. The FEMA funds, how was that worded again? That it's,
So FEMA
would
funds
everyone come in
received
for building?
for property damages
Uh,
shall be transferred to the capital fund for said use upon council approval.
okay, but,
That was a,
the property damages and stuff, we haven't pulled from capital on that, that's repaying capital, is that what that's doing? Or
Let's just,
what's the premise?
we get $1 million.
Right,
And 600,000 is for expenditures for, cleaning up the streets, collecting debris. So, and the city has spent that money out of the general fund. That 600,000 upon FEMA receipts gonna go back to the general fund.
Mhm.
And let's just say 400,000 is for damage to the fire station. That 400,000 is gonna go to the capital fund. Because that plus the insurance proceeds and whatever other money the city may decide to use is what we're gonna use to repair or replace the fire department, the building itself, the firehouse.
so
Well,
this is,
You just said that's gonna go, you just said that's gonna go to capital?
It's gonna go into the capital fund.
It's council approval.
So if you if you execute a contract or.
So you're saying that's gonna go to our normal capital fund?
Yes.
Or is that gonna go to a separate FEMA capital fund?
No, it's gonna go to a normal capital fund.
Off of Ida, did we make any property repairs, or we're waiting for all for FEMA money to come in for
Oh, we
property
made
repairs?
some already.
So just to be clear, this is, I guess I should have said this, I'm sorry, Mr. Buddy. This is, I agree with B. Subsection C was a recommendation by Mr. Buddy. I don't think we need to send that to the capital fund. I think it should stay in the FEMA fund until we're ready to spend it. Now, I guess my question is to the finance director, when we're ready to spend those funds to start rebuilding, do we have to first transfer that money to the capital fund, or can we spend it directly out of the FEMA fund?
So the purpose of the FEMA fund is really to aggregate all the revenues and expenses of the FEMA funds in that one fund. And so, we would recommend that no matter what the source of reimbursement is from FEMA, that all the funds stay in the FEMA fund and all expenses remain in the FEMA fund. That there be no transfers to the capital project fund. I mean, that's what we would recommend.
So,
But do we need council approval to spend this money?
not as it's written, not as it's written, but we're creating a new fund, so we would need to create a budget for that fund. But once we create a budget for that fund, it would be up to him to operate that budget.
Agree, that's what I want.
Okay, so I'm going to amend my amendment.
Yeah, I think we should do these separate, vote
Yeah.
on these separately.
Yeah, so I'm gonna withdraw my amendment, rather. I'm going to move to amend to add a new section B that says FEMA reimbursement for monies expended by City of Harahan for Hurricane Ida emergency expenses shall first be used to reimburse the general fund.
Okay, so we'll motion for public hearing. Who wants to speak on amendment B, amending
The new
paragraph
B.
B? Or adding a new B?
Adding B.
By no one coming to speak forth, we'll now close public hearing.
I'll second.
I will second by Councilman Johnson. All in favor?
Yeah.
Yay.
5 yeas, 0 nays. The amendment is passed.
So paragraph B is
All
added.
for paragraph B.
Now we're gonna add C.
Also move to amend to, well, Mr. Buddy, do you wanna propose the other paragraphs as amendments?
Now, what are you suggesting that we change it to?
I'm
He's just asking you if
suggesting-
you want to present them.
I'm just asking,
I'm happy to be presented.
All right, but I think he's asking, do you need council approval on that? I don't,
no, I don't think, I think what I heard from the finance director is that the subsection C that we were going to add regarding,
repairs,
funds
borrowing money in the
for
capital.
property
We don't
damages,
need that.
It's already
would be
being-
unnecessary because he wouldn't want to transfer those, revenues and expenses to the capital fund.
It's already being pulled out of the FEMA fund is what he's saying, right?
Well,
Right.
and as I appreciate what Todd is suggesting and appreciate his recommendations, is the money would go into the FEMA fund, and then we would reimburse the city if the finance department comes up with a list of $700,000 of money the city has already spent on Hurricane Ida emergency response. That check would be cut to reimburse the city out of the FEMA fund.
To general fund.
The check would be cut to the general fund for an
Right.
itemized list,
Agree.
okay? And then what
He's
Todd
shaking
is
his head.
now suggesting is we don't need to take any money received by FEMA for capital items, for property-related items, and put them in the capital fund. We could just leave it there.
And spend
And
it.
then when we do the funding for a contract, we would take the funding out of the FEMA fund.
Correct.
That relates to, let's just use by way of example, the firehouse. And then we would use from other sources, any other money that the city is using to complete that contract, which might be the capital fund
Correct.
or when we get through the insurance process.
That's correct. He's shaking his head,
So
yes.
I would agree, based upon what Todd's recommendation is, that we don't need to move any of the money to the capital.
Correct. I agree. So I would, we don't need further amendments, I don't
Okay.
believe.
The
So
only
now-
amendment you need, sir, is to move existing B to whatever it becomes.
That's what we did. Yes, we did that.
Oh, we did that already? We voted?
Oh, did we not?
No.
Okay.
We're adding B.
We did the
and
B. The B was voted on, so.
Well, we moved it to E.
No,
So you need to move the E to C.
no.
I withdrew
We
that whole
withdrew the whole
amendment.
yeah.
Okay. That's what I thought.
Madam Clerk, when you add new paragraph B, please just re-letter current paragraph B to C.
B to
I
C.
don't think we have to actually vote.
And I think that's my main concern. I didn't have an issue with, I mean, I had an issue with the way it was written with B, where it was the city finance director would do the policies. I felt a lot safer, not just really safer, I mean, I just wanted it in words saying that, that
This
the
here-
general fund be paid off first, and that's why I'm fully in agreement with the B.
But in this way here, it's gonna go through general fund, it's gonna get paid off.
Right.
The money's gonna stay in the FEMA fund,
Right.
and we're gonna do that through our annual budget. We're not gonna
And I'm
change
good with
that, it's
that.
not gonna need council
Right.
approval every time.
I'm sorry, we're gonna take the money and put it in a FEMA fund. Whatever check comes from FEMA. And whatever expenditures that the city had are gonna be, the first thing that's gonna happen with the FEMA money's received.
Refund,
The general
General.
fund's gonna be refunded, or a check will be cut.
correct,
And then we'll have to amend our budget by that receipt.
Correct.
correct?
And what it'll do is it'll make up for a deficit, in effect. We'll have
Correct.
revenue, we don't have to budget any expenditures, because we're already in the hole.
We already spent them.
Yep.
Okay, so, what Todd's clarified is we don't need to put any money received for property repair into the capital fund. We can just
Take it straight out of the
take it
FEMA
straight
fund.
out of there when the expenditure is approved by the council.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Just a clarification question. So, and I don't have any of the paperwork in front of me related to the amendments, but let's say for example, let's say the first FEMA funds that the city receives, let's say we get a check next week for $1 million for firehouse building repairs. The way that the amendment was written, would that money go to pay off the amount owed to the general fund, or would that stay in the FEMA fund? I just wanted to clarify what the language of the amendment said.
Yeah, so the language of the amendment said FEMA reimbursement for monies expended by City of Harahan for Hurricane Ida emergency expenses shall first be used to reimburse the general fund. So I read that as if FEMA sends a reimbursement. Now, if FEMA sends $1 million that is specified to the firehouse, then that should stay in the fund.
That's my interpretation of what
That-
we drafted.
That's Mr. Buddy's interpretation of what we drafted as well.
I agree. I just wanted to make sure
Okay, yeah,
that was the right understanding.
thank you. And I apologize to the public if this is confusing, but we just want to make sure we get it right the first time, so we're not back here in a couple months trying to change things again. So I move for the vote on the
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
ordinance.
I wanna clear one thing up.
Okay.
So,
Withdraw.
in our regular budget, we're gonna approve this money for repairs. Are y'all trying to say we still need to come here for approve the mayor's purchase on every
No, sir.
repair he makes?
No, sir.
Okay, I'm fine.
It's just that the money, when it hits the FEMA, this is my appreciation of what we drafted, and it's open to critique. When $1 million check is sent to the city by FEMA, a portion of that will probably be to pay X, Y, and Z, which are monies the city has already spent out of the general fund. So that money a check will be cut to the general fund, and then the city will recognize it as revenue in our general budget. And it'll be up to the council to accept that money. And, as a practical matter, the money's just gonna come in to make up for a deficit.
Agree.
So, but we are not gonna have to go back, the council.
Every time
and
they wanna
approve.
spend FEMA money, we don't have to run in there and
No,
approve
but,
each item.
but for a capital expenditure, we will have to approve it, I believe.
Not on building repairs.
No, so this is,
That's why I'm making sure we're not confused. I don't want somebody to think one thing and not the other.
Well, so
Building
when the
repairs
ma-
must
so
be
when
there,
the-
the money's there to spend
so
on.
when we start getting money for building repairs, it's gonna be specified what building it's for, and so the mayor has his marching orders on that already.
So we don't have to.
But,
approve.
but if he also needs money from the capital fund to help fund that, to fully
Then we
fund
need
it,
to approve
then
that.
we need to approve it. So let's say he gets $2 million for the firehouse, but he needs 3.4. he has to come to us for council approval from,
The 1.4
for the
difference.
1.4 difference.
I agree with what you're saying there. That's the way I'm understanding. I'm just making sure we're all on the same
Infringing on the
page.
mayor's duties.
And again, I'm gonna fall back. Can the mayor spend, without council approval, today, any money that's not in the budget? So my point is, the mayor needs council approval. He needs a budget amendment. Now, mayors have gone rogue and spend money.
So we're
Elected officials have done that.
We're gonna approve the money that's in FEMA to make the repairs to the building. We're not gonna have to approve each item, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, correct, but I think at some point in time, we'll have to authorize the mayor to spend, if we get $1 million from FEMA for a firehouse. I think for the mayor to spend it, I think we have to budget it through either capital improvements.
Right, you have to do a budget
I
amendment.
think we'll have to do a budget amendment, and I may be mistaken on that, but I don't think the mayor has any authority to just spend money.
Well, first of all, I
without-
think the FEMA funds are gonna be restricted to
They're
the
gonna be
mayor. and
allocated
spend
for
more.
certain.
I would think so.
And if he chooses to do elsewhere, then that's for him to answer to the public.
Right, but I don't think it's gonna be a
The funds are
problem.
restricted. If there's a replacement for the gym or something with the fire station, that's for the mayor.
Correct, correct.
By the way, Mayor, we are not accusing you. It seems very accusatory, but it's
I
not.
was just saying, that's the powers of the mayor.
I move for the vote on proposed ordinance 2021-24 as amended.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman,
Oh, so that's one amendment, we've got another one to do.
We already did that
approved it.
amendment.
No, we've got a small one in paragraph, the existing paragraph B, Councilman Asbill. You're gonna add the word additional?
That's gone.
We can do that.
I thought that whole paragraph's gone.
No, it's not going.
no,
no.
it came here.
It's got renumbered.
It's relettered to C.
I'll see.
So I think we need to change the existing paragraph B to C and add the word additional after the word proposed and before the word policies.
I second Mr. Buddy's amendment.
Okay.
Here's what it would be.
The city director
All right, we'll open for public hearing.
additional policies.
No one come to speak forth. We'll now close public hearing. We have a motion on the floor by Mr. Buddy, Councilman Buddy, second by Councilman Asbill. All in favor to amend?
Whoa,
Yay,
whoa,
yay.
whoa, I'm still trying to get clear.
2021-24, all in favor?
You wanna get it cleared up first, or you wanna call for a vote and get a no?
Let's let Councilman Chatelain
So
get
to be
comfortable
clear-
or tell us what we need to correct.
To be clear, current section B will be current section C, and it shall read, "The city finance director shall propose additional policies and procedures."
After what B already states.
Right.
B already states something, so the finance director's the new advisor.
Just put it in the special mass fund.
I'm in favor.
Move for the vote on the amendment.
All right.
Yay.
All right. We had a motion and a second.
Uh-huh.
Okay,
All right, so calling for the vote on the amendment. All in favor?
Yay.
Yay.
Yay. Okay, no, so now we have
Move for
proposed
the
ordinance
vote on
21-24
As amended.
as amended 2 times. We're gonna open for public hearing. No one coming to speak forth. We'll now close public hearing, and now we'll move for the vote. All in favor?
Yay.
Yay.
5 yeas, 0 nays. Motion passes, the ordinance passes as amended.
Thank you,
Okay,
colleagues.
Now we have one councilman that actually wants to ask for a point of personal privilege and reopen public,
I'd like to open a public hearing real quick. They got a few people in
We have a motion
here.
on the floor by Councilman Chatelain to reopen up.
Special presentation?
Special
To
presentation.
open up, you wanna do a special presentation, or you wanna do address the council?
Just do it, address the council,
So
where
we have-
anybody
we have a
else can
motion
get it
on the floor
over.
to move up, address the council, right now by Councilman Chatelain. Yeah,
Everybody,
let's
get
just
over
take
it.
everybody, just get over it.
Some people wanna leave.
Okay, and so we open for public hearing, no one will speak against it, we now close public hearing, all in favor?
Yay.
Well, now hear special presentations.
Now address the council.
Address the council.
Address the council. Geez, y'all got me over here.
Hi, Rena Sanders, Oak Avenue, Harahan Fire Department.
This room is gone.
Oh, no.
Now you're on.
You want?
Okay. I just wanted to come and let everybody know that last Saturday, Councilman Asbill did the greatest thing for our Harahan Fire Department and Police Department. He got this group of young lawyers from the Louisiana State Bar Association to do this Wills for Heroes, Louisiana. And it was estate planning and stuff like that that was done for policemen and firemen. And it was it was such a wonderful thing to do because, you know, most of the time those guys, they don't have the resources or whatever to take care of that kind of stuff. And they are our heroes. I mean, you know, when you see a policeman or a fireman, wherever you see them on the street, everybody should give them a thank you because the jobs they do are just unbelievable. So I wanted to thank Councilman Asbill for putting this thing together and had a good turnout. I want to thank Kerry Wheeler. She put in her time with the, you know, with the notary stuff. Thank the mayor. The mayor allowed us to use the council chambers for everything. And, you know, so I just wanted to say a big thank you. And, you know, when you see a fireman or a policeman, be sure and give them a hug and say thank you for a job well done. So thank you, guys.
Thank you. I have a comment about that. I think it was a great event, and I want to thank Councilman Asbill for beginning that. But I'm sorry, Ms. Rena, I have to correct you because I have it on good authority that some of the attorneys there weren't so young. Just saying. Oh, okay. Okay. Just saying.
Oh, and I wanted to say too, one other thing. You know, FEMA audits. So, you know, whatever money they send you, they're gonna come in later and they're gonna do an audit just to make sure that everything just.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank
you.
Good evening. Jimmy Dudenhofer, Harahan Athletic Association. For obvious reasons, we haven't done much at the playground lately, but we are putting together an event right now. We're going to have a king cake party. We're not begging for money. We're not asking for sponsors. We're just doing this for the city. There's no charge. Come in, get a piece of king cake. We're going to have prizes and a cash award for who ends up winning the king cake party. It's going to be February 6th at the playground, right next to the Harahan Farmers Market, at the same time running concurrent. Everybody in the city is invited. Like I said, there's no charge for king cake. We are going to be selling drinks if anybody'd like to buy a drink. So we'd like to invite everybody out.
Same time as the market?
We're going to start around 11:30.
Tell us a little bit how it's gonna work, how the contest you're talking about is gonna work.
Okay, we're going to have probably 20 king cakes. So first round, we'll have 20 babies. Those 20 people go into the final round with one king cake, which will have one baby. They'll get a cash prize and maybe some gift certificates that we're working on currently.
And you're still working on other prizes? You're looking for other prizes?
We're looking for other prizes, donations.
and king cakes.
If somebody could help us out with some king cakes, we'd surely appreciate that. We're just starting. We started this a
Gotcha,
couple
yeah.
days ago.
Every council member in the mayor.
Yeah, we've already gotten at least one gift certificate from a Harahan business. We're obviously looking for others. The more prizes, you know, everybody gets to go home happy.
Sounds good.
All right?
Well, Jimmy, let me assure you, you have 6 king cakes right here. I will make sure that every council member in this mayor donates a king cake to your party.
Oh, I'm gonna get one from the police chief too.
Stop it.
I appreciate
I
that.
eat my king
Appreciate y'all's
cakes,
support.
So you might not get
And I'm gonna
one.
hit Big John. I'm gonna hit State Rep John for one in the bag too. And he can't eat it. He can't eat it.
I probably should be good for 2.
There you go. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Joe.
John, would you like to speak?
Yes.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, come on.
State Representative John Ilg, District 78, just in case you weren't aware. I came tonight, I don't know if you guys addressed it, but over the course of the rehabilitation to our electrical grid and our telecommunications lines, there's a lot that's been left behind. And I've spoken to Cox and AT&T and Entergy. What I'm asking the citizens to do is to give us the areas that they may have problems with lines that may not have been cleaned up. Cox, they say, give them an address and they'll come clean it up. Well, I can't do it all on my own. The first address I gave them was my office on Jefferson Highway. They said, well, we haven't had too many complaints. There are issues out there that we have that need to be cleaned up. So if you have anybody in an issue where your service is restored, but the lines are still not cleaned up, let us know. Get in touch with the Harahan Council, get in touch with my office. You can contact my office at 504-736-7030. Let us know, and we're gonna let Cox and AT&T and Entergy know so we can clean up the rest of the area, because there are spots down where lines are still hanging. Let us know. And I don't know if you guys addressed that, but if you hadn't, I passed the word earlier today. We're trying to let everybody know we will be putting something on social media. Let us know so we can get it cleaned up. They did a great job getting us back online, and now it's time to go back and clean up the rest of what's still around.
Street lights missing,
Yeah, street
cable
lights.
lines.
Street lights out, let us know.
Our biggest complaint here at City Hall is our streetlights that are missing, and a lot of dark areas now. And you know, we really haven't tried to press the issue much with Entergy, just because we know there's so many people that have really lost way more than we have.
Right.
And so you saying now this is that time?
It's time
Okay.
for them to come back through. They've done their assessment before. It's the same thing with cable. And if you don't know the difference between a cable line and a telephone line, I was explained to me like this: cable's round and flat is telephone. So if you had a flat line, it's just hanging from your house, or it's hanging too low and it's still got yellow caution tape on it, let us know. We don't want trucks passing by and on lines. They're gonna come by and clean that up and tighten it up. I've been assured by both AT&T, Cox, and Entergy, they'll get to it. You just gotta let them know where.
Copy.
A lot of the telephone lines run in the back of your houses that people don't see, so it's out of sight, out of mind, but you know
Right.
it's there. Let us know. They're gonna come by and clean them up. But let us know, get the word to you guys here at Harahan. If you guys can let out my office know, we'll get in touch with those people and get
Yes,
that
sir.
cleaned up.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right?
John, what you know about this redistricting?
It's gonna be a pretty hot topic coming up February 1st. What's gonna happen in this state every 10 years with the census, we come through and we redraw the House districts in this and the Senate districts in the state. We also do our Bessie districts, our Public Service Commissioner, and our congressional district. The congressional district's gonna be pretty hot.
You think it's gonna affect Harahan?
I think in the House district, I think our House district will pretty much, should be the same. I think the East Bank of Jefferson Parish is stayed.
Somebody told me they might draw a line right down like West Imperial.
I heard somebody say
And
that,
I
that
did
they
hear,
would like
like-
to take some of Harahan.
I did
Can
hear.
we have that line on the lane?
I did hear
So-
Slagle's gonna take part.
right.
You're gonna take part. I figured two for one, huh?
Fair, but, you know.
Representative Schlegel said she thought it would be good that we had two representatives.
She
That's
definitely told us to
exactly
pick
right.
on you. She told us to pick on you, so we doing
So
it.
my vote is where my house on the lane is. I'm voting to go into Representative Schlegel's district. Just look, we love you, but
I'm happy with you, baby. You're doing a great job. I'm gonna keep you.
We all work together. It's all one big team. Doesn't matter who gets the glory. Look, I'm a lineman. I block. If we can get the job done, that's what I'm looking to do.
Just so everyone knows, Lori Schlegel, which is another state representative right on the side of, she has a family member that lives in Harahan. So the truth is that we really have two state representatives up there that really work hard for our city.
Well, Lori actually, her district starts right here,
That's
right past.
So we made her move to Lane Street.
So Lori's got some family members here. Her husband grew up here. I coached her brother-in-law, Mike, in CYO basketball years ago. So yeah, she made that point to me that she thought it would be a good idea. She was enjoying it. But redistricting will affect us all. It's something that we're going to deal with. You may have been reading about it in the newspaper recently. It's a big deal, and redistricting happens by your population shift. So as the population shifts, it's a numbers-driven process. So as your population shifts, you're basically taking whatever the population is divided by the number of districts that you may have. May it be Public Service Commission or Supreme Court, divide it, and then they try and get those equal plus or minus 5% of the average to be fit in that pie. So it's 105 House districts that you're trying to fit in. So there's been a population shift from the northern part of the state to along the I-10-12 corridor. So there will be some shifts. Some districts will be lost. Well, I don't want to say lost. They've changed. You're never going to lose them. They'll just change what the geographic boundaries are. So I've never been through one. I heard it can be contentious, but I think everybody will work together to make it work for the state, because it's not about the person that represents this district now, may it be myself. It's about the boundaries that you have, and it's a popular. We're lucky here in Jefferson. Our numbers have stayed the same. Our colleagues around the state, their numbers have shifted. We're lucky to have that, what we have here. And you know, that's what we'll be dealing with. So we go in February 1st to the 20th, and then regular session starts in the beginning of March. So, you know, I'll be basically up in Baton Rouge along with Senator Talbot and Lori from February until mid-June.
Big.
So y'all come up and see us.
We appreciate everything you do. I believe Ms. Hunter's got a question for you.
Yes.
I don't know if you can answer this or the council can answer this. So you know those little yellow flags that we have in our yard? I think they were from.
Gas line.
Atmos.
Yes.
No,
Your yard's gonna be AT&T fiber they added, yeah.
Yeah, what's the status on that? You don't know?
It's in the works.
Yep,
It's
they
still
were.
in the works, it's with the parish. The parish is still, I can check with AT&T. They're trying to upgrade their fiber, system.
So basically, the yellow lines are, they're directional boring right there. So the yellow lines, the gas company came in, marked their lines. That's just so that AT&T doesn't hit their gas lines while they're doing it. So please do not remove the flags.
Flags were removed. But then has the work been done?
Oh, yeah, well, if they came, they might have came and removed them when they finished the work.
70-30.
No.
He gonna go to jail.
But then a whole
He
bunch
going
of
to
other
jail.
people removed on our street too.
Make a note.
Yeah, she removed the yellow flags.
Your husband going to jail if he moved them flags.
Y'all, just so y'all know, we do have two superheroes in Baton Rouge, and Senator Kurt Talbot and State Representative John Hill. I mean, let me tell y'all something. We love it. We love spending time with them. We thank you so much. You always keep us in the know. I mean, you guys are incredible. I love to brag on you every chance I get
We
because you've
appreciate
made a real difference for us in your tenure, and Senator Talbot has in teaching us the process, making us get our butts up there. You make us be a better legislative body and a better.
To be
man.
honest, I've learned with you. I've learned the process as I've gone, and I think I've had a good mentor in Kirk, and I think we work well together.
Yes,
and
sir.
I think the legislature works well together as a whole. I think when I went up there were 45 new people in the House, and for the most part, I think we all hit the ground running. They have a different idea of where the state needs to go, and I think we're doing that. I think we're making progress in the state. I know it's slow and everybody doesn't see it, but I'm truly optimistic for the state. I'm truly optimistic for the younger leadership that we have, and I'm a little bit older, but I am new to the process. But I think the passion that the people have for doing it a different way. If you talk to business groups and civic groups, they've said they've never seen groups like this freshman class and what they've done. And we couldn't have done it without the older members that are there, the second termers and third termers. We've learned from them, but we came in with our own ideas of what we were gonna do, and we've stuck to it. We haven't changed, we haven't been jaded. And I'm extremely positive about the direction of the state and the way we'll continue to go, especially how we've worked through the pandemic the last 2 years. We served 4 days and the pandemic hits. We've never known any other session than basically being thrown into the deep end of the pool and saying swim. And you got to see who could swim and people that may have floundered a little bit, but they all caught up. And everybody, it was basically catch up and get up, and everybody around this state is taking care of their districts. Because if you've traveled this state, you realize that we're very different from other parts of the state. We have places where if we wanted to go get something to eat right now, we could. And there's parts in the state, if you don't go eat by 6 or 7 o'clock, you're not getting anything. Because the restaurants shut down. It's just smaller, it's a different way of life. So if you get a chance to travel the state, do so. It's a beautiful state. I've been very fortunate over the last 2 years to get to visit lots of my colleagues around this state. It's a very great state, but it's a very different state than what we live in down here.
Yep.
You know, when they come and visit me down here, they go, man, y'all got restaurants open this late?
Yeah.
And they, one of the reps asked me, he said, how long does it take you to drive your district? I said, I don't know, 12 to 15 minutes, depending on traffic. He said, really? Takes me 2.5 hours. So that's like, to get 45,000 people in your house district, these guys cross multiple parishes.
Wow.
We are lucky enough in East Jefferson to have 6 state reps, just on the East Bank. So the power that we have in Jefferson Parish is great. And we lead. Jefferson Parish leads. We've got a lot of new members through the years, but we lead because of all of you guys. Because of with the residents of this area and the business community, we lead. And we're lucky because the other members around here, and Orleans has got good members too. We've got good members all throughout this area. People with different points of view, but have never been elected before. You're not looking at a whole bunch of people that have been previously elected. They came up there and they're doing it their way. They're running it like a business. And the state is going to see greener, better times ahead, better days ahead. And I appreciate you guys do come up often. people know who Harahan is, and that's a big thing up there. You know, if you're seen and they know who you are, it's easy to get things. They put the name with the face, and you guys have been up there in the forefront. I appreciate it. You guys make it easy for us.
I was at a function the other night, a Christmas party, and I was walking in, and the governor was coming in, and he had a big crowd around him, of course, and he reached out through the crowd, grabbed me on my shoulder, and he said, "Hey, Mayor, I hear you're doing great things down here in Harahan." That was incredible.
Yeah, it is. It's good to be known. I mean,
Yeah.
they know who the representatives of this city are. They know us, and they know where we're going. And we always have a plan. You're organized. When you have organized, and you can go out there and you can do the things by their rules. It makes it easy.
That's right.
It makes it easy not to work with you. You know, because you guys make it easy. You got good staff and good people, and you've done a great job.
Thank you.
And I know the Love Fest, I know everybody says it's the Love Fest, but it is. It's a
Right.
mutual respect for
You-
us and you guys.
You and Kurt both have incredible staff. Miss Candy, Miss Tia, they always there to help us when we
That's
need
right.
them, and we
Yeah,
appreciate
They
it.
work hard. They work hard
Yep.
for us and make us look good.
Behind every man's a good woman.
You're right about that. At home too.
Well said.
See y'all later. Y'all have a great night.
Thanks, babe.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, Madam Clerk, we're gonna go on with proposed ordinance 2021-25.
Proposed ordinance number 2021-25. The following ordinance was proposed by Councilman Asbill and seconded by Councilman
Chatelaine.
Chatelain. An ordinance providing for the deposit of insurance claim proceeds into the capital projects fund.
Okay, we'll now open for public hearing. Anyone coming to discuss? No one will come to discuss. We'll now close public hearing. Council discussion? All right, no council
Wait,
discussion.
no.
Yeah, we're
I
gonna
was
have a big
just letting
discussion.
somebody go before me.
There's plenty of discussion. So the idea of this ordinance. The idea of this ordinance is kind of the same as the others, is that we're gonna be getting a lot of insurance money in. It should be, I believe it should be credited to those, they're gonna be for capital project, replacing buildings, whatever it might be, and repairs. So they should be credited to within that department of the capital projects. For example, if we get $200,000 for the police department, the building next door, then that money should go into the capital projects line item for the police department.
Anyone else?
My first comment is, there may be situations where the city's already spent money to repair something that is an insurance claim. If we've had roof damage, we may have spent money to patch a roof or to replace it, and that money came out of the general fund. So I'd want that money to be reimbursed to the city to the extent it exists. I don't know if there is any.
So we might have to ask Todd, so do we set up a separate account for insurance funds? Just a separate line item account for insurance funds instead of going to capital? I mean, insurance funds are gonna come in and replace X, Y, and Z. It's gonna tell you what it's for.
Right, did you hear that question, Tom?
Yes, and so this is maybe another example of, in the past, the city had minimal insurance claims. Just in my experience working with the city over the years, you know, that maybe a vehicle here and there, some damage within City Hall, things like that, but fairly minimal insurance claims. And in the past, those amounts flowed through the general fund and just got absorbed as part of the general fund balance. Okay, and I think the intent of this ordinance is to record these amounts within the capital project fund. They would be revenue as insurance proceeds, revenue in the capital project fund specific to each department. And that's how those funds would be recorded. Did that answer the question?
No, I think he's asking, it's like do with this expenses and the revenues. The expenses we're paying out of general fund, but we're paying this back to the capital fund. I believe that's what you were saying.
Correct.
Tommy.
Yep.
So
Now, and again, let me clarify, where the money goes when we get it is not significant to me, because it's got to be accounted for. But I'm addressing, my primary concern here is how the money is, quote, distributed. And to the extent the city has spent money making any repairs that are reimbursed by, quote, insurance proceeds, or we may have insurance proceeds with loss of use. I'm really not familiar with what our insurance coverage is. But if there's any money that's paid by the insurance company for something that's already been spent or for loss of use, I'd want that money to, whether it's the second step of the operation, first goes into a separate account, but then it's reimbursing the general fund. I like the general fund to be reimbursed, and so the general fund can become hold, and try to get us out of this deficit that we find ourselves in. And while I'm commenting, I'm not sure why we want to say that the money is going to go to a capital project fund for the department where the building is. The departments don't pay the insurance. The council is going to make decisions on what's going to be rebuilt, how the monies are going to be used. And I don't know if you want to restrict it, because decisions might be made to spend money elsewhere. And that's a council decision. And what the council's doing here is saying, if it was a property item for the police department, the money is going to be spent in the police department, as opposed to where we need to spend the money, whatever our priorities are.
Yeah, so my logic here was that if a department, whether it be recreation, fire, police, if they experience a loss in property, that we would need to then improve. We don't have to, obviously, but I think we should use that money to improve the capital projects of that department. Just my thoughts.
Yeah, and
completely disagree.
you know, that is likely what will happen. If we lost a roof somewhere and the roof hasn't been replaced, the roof more than likely is going to get replaced, whether the insurance proceeds are adequate or not. But I don't know, again, I don't like to tie my hands, or the council's hands, from making decisions, because things change. And sometimes you need to make a decision that's uncomfortable. But if you don't get enough money to repair everything, you're going to have to repair some things, not do everything 80%. If you got 5 properties to repair, you want to repair 4, and a hard decision's got to be made to the 5th one that's not getting repaired. Which one is it?
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but my thought was to, at first, credit it to the department that experienced the loss, and then if we need to move money around within the capital fund on the line items, then we can do that. If we say, look, okay, we really don't need to repair that red building, we need to knock it down and sell the lot, then we can do that. We just move that money over to the other department that we want to spend it in.
I hear you. It doesn't say that, but.
Well, we can do that as
We can do that.
We can do that as a course of business of the
Yeah.
council.
Yep.
My question is, with the insurance claim, why aren't we doing the expense through capital fund where we can just easily reimburse it to the capital fund? That's a Todd question, yeah.
Question for you, Todd. Did you hear that?
Yeah, so I think moving forward, I think if we're spending money on capital, that will come out of the capital project fund, but if the question relates to, if we did roof repairs 10 years ago or bought some recreation equipment 10 years ago, that may have come out of the general fund, but I think moving forward, certainly the city can spend these funds out of the capital project fund, or if a vehicle's damaged, they can spend it out of the capital project fund.
Right, and I'm not worried about 10 years ago. I'm just curious like this, say during Ida, the insurance claims from Ida, we paid those already out of the general fund, so we would have to reimburse through the general fund, or have the option of putting it to capital projects?
So I guess, I think the question is, we had property-related expenses already with Ida that were paid. They were paid out of the general fund or the capital projects fund?
Correct.
I think they were paid out of the general fund,
General
because
fund.
we didn't approve any
Probably the
capital
general
project.
fund, right.
The general fund, right.
And
And the other thing is, Todd, if we were to, let's just hypothetically say we're gonna put a $120,000 roof on the gym. if we don't put the money into the capital fund, by definition, it's in the general fund. The expenditure will be through the general fund. And then it would be a budget item. And I don't think we would ever spend $120,000 on a roof replacement through the general fund. I don't think we've ever done that. And not to say we couldn't.
I believe you've never done it, but I can see it happening if this money goes in the general fund.
Yeah, if it goes there, but it's a capital expenditure type item.
What is it,
These are-
insurance reimbursement?
Sir?
It's an insurance claim.
Right, but
So
when
the
you,
insurance companies can give you the money allocated for your roof repairs.
right. But for instance, the repair or replacement, whatever comes down the road of the fire station, the firehouse, that's a capital expenditure. Of its nature, it's gonna be capitalized on the city's books. It's not gonna be a period expense. So it does make sense that the proceeds go into the capital projects.
I'm gonna ask a question. A new roof at the senior center. What is that?
How much is it? or-
No, what is it? A capital project?
I would think a new roof with a 25 or 30-year life is a capital project.
So I would
And
think
I'll
that's a
defer that
repair.
to Todd.
I mean, I would think that's a repair that needs to be done.
There is a fine line, Eric.
That's
in
what I'm saying.
accounting.
I don't know if it should go to capital or if it should
Yeah.
stay.
If
I'm
you-
trying not to get in trouble.
Yeah, well, if this were the IRS, and you were the small businessman that you are, you would say, I want to expense in 2022 the new roof I just put on that building. And the IRS would say, but sir, you get to depreciate that over 30 years, you don't get to expense it all in 1 year. They would pretty much tell you that if they looked at your return. So, and that's how it comes down, you know, this is of a capital nature. I'm sorry, if it were a new roof, it's got a 25 or 30-year life. That's not a repair, that's an upgrade at the very least, it's a capital expenditure. But those decisions Todd's gonna make as the finance director, how it is. But if it is a capital expenditure, Todd, then I would assume it's gonna go through the capital budgeting process.
Yes, that would be my expectation, yes.
Are all insurance claims from Ida worked out yet, or we're still working on a
None.
few, or we're still working on all of it?
I'll let the mayor maybe speak to that, but my understanding is the city has received some reimbursement checks, but it's far from, it's still probably in the beginning of the process.
I'll make a motion to defer this ordinance.
Yeah, that's second.
All right, so we have a motion to defer ordinance 2021-25. We have to open for public hearing for a motion to defer. I will open for public hearing. No one come to speak forth. We'll now close public hearing. We have a motion by Councilman Chatelain, second by Councilman Johnson to defer. All in favor?
Yeah.
Yay.
Yay.
Nay.
5 for yeas, 1 nay. Motion to defer passes.
Proposed ordinance number 2021-26. The following ordinance was proposed by Councilman Asbill and is seconded by Councilman
Second.
Chatelain. An ordinance providing for the expenditure of American Rescue Plan Act of 2021 funds to provide for incentive pay in response to COVID-19.
All right, we'll now open for public hearing for proposed ordinance 2021-26. No one coming to forth, no one coming to speak. We'll now close public hearing and we'll go into council discussion.
So this ordinance, this idea was brought to me by the Assistant Police Chief, Mr. St. Cyr, a couple months back, actually. He just got around to putting it up. The idea here is that, and I think everybody might have got an email from him, the idea here is that the police or several departments, including the fire department, they're having to pay additional overtime for quarantines and stuff like that. However, if you're vaccinated, those quarantines are shortened, and so that would lessen the overtime charge on the payroll books. So the idea is to incentivize city employees to go get vaccinated, and if they do, they would receive a payment. And I've attached This is the attached part of the final rule from the ARPA here, and one of the, two of the uses that can be are for premium pay for workers performing essential work. And also on page 14, it says that it's including vaccine incentives and vaccination programs. And that is on my ordinance. Open the comments, questions, concerns.
Sorry, Councilman Leo? Oh, all right. Council discussion, go ahead, Councilman Chatelain.
Guys, I'm vaccinated. Had all 3 shots that's available. They tell me I can get a 4th one, I'm gonna go get a 4th. I'm not gonna put an incentive out there for someone to come in and get a shot. Something happens, I think the liability comes to us. Basically like dangling crawfish in front of me, I'm coming to eat them. You know, you're not gonna, I'm totally against this. I just don't think it's fair, don't think it's right. Wish y'all the best.
I think one of my biggest concerns is, God forbid, if somebody goes and gets this vaccination with an incentive of getting this paycheck and something happens to them. So I'm against it too.
Councilman Buddy?
So I have concerns with it, different than what Councilman Chatelain and Councilwoman Wheeler brought up, although they're very valid points I hadn't considered. But most folks are already vaccinated. I don't know the percentage, but I'm assuming that. I'm assuming we got a pretty decent vaccination rate. I'm vaccinated. I chose to do that. Some people aren't, and I think that's their right, and I support them. But city employees who have worked their butts off and done a great job in the last year, did a great service to the citizens, but they had a job and they were paid. Some of our residents lost their jobs, lost their livelihood, and they're not getting, they lost income and they're not getting a bonus for getting a COVID shot. We're doing this with public money. I don't think it's appropriate. And this, as I read this, anybody who was vaccinated like I was in January of 2021 would get $1,000 if they were a city employee. It's not an incentive for somebody to go out tomorrow and get a vaccine. It's a reward for being previously vaccinated, as I read it. And
It says on it before May 15th, 2022.
I'm sorry.
2022.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Mr. Chairman.
You telling me if I approve this, y'all gonna give me some money?
Well, only if we're determined to be employees. So that means we can't vote on it, right? We all
I'm an
have a
abstain.
conflict.
We all got
We have a conflict. But I read this that everybody would, if you're previously vaccinated, then you're falling in under that last sentence. So if you're an employee and you're previously vaccinated, you're gonna get $1,000 check if you pass this.
Correct.
So it's not an incentive to them, it's a reward. And I'm not sure that Section 2, and it may be legal, but we're saying it's not subject to retirement contributions. Well, I don't think we necessarily know that. And Councilman Esma, I don't know if anybody's going to Civil Service Commission. This may be subject to retirement provisions. So I think before we say that it's not, then somebody's got to say, do the research and get an answer.
Well, my point in including that was if it can be excluded, then it should be. However, just like any other ordinance, if that's invalid, then the rest of the ordinance still
Right.
stands, just we would
So
invalidate
then,
that
so
section.
then in the case of our employees with retirement, we've just given them $1,300, which just ups the cost. And my last concern is, this is spending ARPA money in pieces. And as I've asked the mayor to come up with a plan, a big picture plan, we've got a chunk of money that is a blessing in many ways, once in a lifetime, a chance for us to get whole and to do good. I'd like to see the council consider a big picture plan, and whether this could be a part of it, it certainly could. But instead of starting to spend $100,000 here, $300,000 there, and 2 months later, boom, you know, whatever comes to somebody's mind, the idea du jour of the day to spend money, I'd like to see us looking at a bucket and consider the expenditures in total. Because we certainly will have more good ideas than we will have money. And if we get them all on the table before we start spending it, we'll be forced to pick and choose to what we think ultimately is the best use of a large but limited resource for the city.
I understand what you're saying there with the ARPA fund, but I also understand Councilman Asbill with the ordinances. I mean, this is something that needs to be done right now if it's gonna be done. You're not gonna
I
have
hear you.
time to put this in place with the big picture. I mean, hopefully COVID's over in 2 weeks.
Very nice.
So, anyway, that's my thoughts. Thank you.
Okay, you want to call for the vote?
No comment.
Okay, we'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Nay, I'm sorry.
All in favor? All opposed?
Yeah.
Nay.
Was that 5 nays?
Nay, yes.
5 nays, 0 yeas. Ordinance fails. Madam Clerk, ordinance for introduction?
Proposed ordinance number 2022-21. The following ordinance was proposed by Councilman Asbill. An ordinance amending ordinance number 1901, the annual budget of revenues and expenditures for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2022, for the Capital Project Fund of the City of Harahan, Louisiana. Old business number 1, Board of Adjustment dismissal and appointments.
Okay, so on that, I had spoken to Spike Kiddock, like we discussed over the last meeting. I've asked him to reach out to everybody and let him know.
He did not.
Let everybody know. But he would like to continue to serve, and so I'd like to nominate Spike to continue to serve.
I second.
So is he going to continue to serve? Is his tenure up, or do you just not going to
I,
take him?
I wanna say, when I spoke with him, I think he said May of this year coming, if I'm not mistaken, so I think his plan was he
It
wanted
was
to
May of
continue.
21, but if we can reappoint him, if y'all want to
Oh,
reappoint
well,
him.
that's what I'm
Okay.
nominated to reappoint.
He did indicate to
So,
me.
so I have a question. Do you reappoint him as the chairman? or
No.
They voted.
I think
No,
they voted,
they voted on their own.
They voted
chairman.
on their own chair.
Correct.
Okay, so
Correct.
all in favor to reappoint Richard Kiddock to the Board of Adjustment and Appeals? All in favor?
Yeah.
Yay.
5 yeas, 0
Nay.
nays. Oh, 4 yeas, 1 nay. Appointment is approved. Do we have anyone else?
Yes, there was one other position that we removed. I don't remember which one it was.
And crochet, huh?
Did we
Yeah,
remove
Crochet's
his name?
out and Ricky,
And Hellway was
Hellway.
out.
I do have one nomination. It's Mr. Brian Veed. Mr. Brian Veed is a resident that lives on Posey Avenue. Some of you may have heard of his wife, Miss Norma Roy. Mr. Brian is a property owner who owns several properties throughout Jefferson Parish, but he only owns one property in Harahan, and that is his personal property. I asked him if he'd like to join, and he is very familiar with the process of planning and zoning, the process of Board of Adjustment, because he goes through that with his other properties for Jefferson Parish and Kenner, and he would like to serve.
Okay, so we have an appointment offered up by Councilman Asbill. All in favor?
Look, I'd like an opportunity to talk to him. I'm not opposed, but I don't know him, and I'd like an opportunity to speak to him, so we could defer that.
Okay, so we'll defer
And,
this appointment.
Councilman Asbill, if you have a phone number, if you could send it to me, I'll be happy to talk to him.
Yes,
Well,
sir.
I got his
Sure
number.
will.
I'll send it to you.
Okay?
So
we'll
I'll
defer-
second that deferment.
All right, so let me just let me talk to you guys about this Board of Adjustment and Appeals real fast. Excuse me.
I'm sorry.
We're talking about the Board of Adjustment and Appeals today. I got a chance to meet with our city planner today, and he said that there is an urgency that we need to get this board back operative the way it should be operative and get these appointments in. So if you guys can put it at the forefront of your mind over the next 30 days, let's try to get some appointments on this board and get this thing back moving in the way it should be moving.
How many, with this gentleman that lives on Posey, does that fill?
No, there's
No.
one. There's
No,
one more
there's still
spot,
one more.
and if nobody has a nomination for that, I have a nomination for that as well. If y'all want.
So we only have, right now, we have Richie Kiddock, we have Paul Jouet, and who else?
Andrew Case.
Andrew Case, okay, and now we need
We need 2 more.
2 more. Okay, got it.
Does anybody
I just said
know,
Patrick Daniels.
and I apologize, I haven't read the ordinance.
Pat McDaniel and Guy Lavin will continue to serve, but, look, I haven't been here in a while, so we got appointments, let's go.
In defense of Patrick McDaniel, I spoke to Pat some time ago, and his frustration level, and the reason he quit going was because the previous administration did not back their decisions. And by that, the city, as I understand the process, and please correct me if I'm wrong, when the Board of Zoning Appeals opines, the individual, if they are not granted, they go to court.
That's right, the 24th.
And when and what I understood Pat to say, when the city was sued, the mayor wasn't hiring counsel, so the party won by default. So his feelings at the time were the city was not supporting the board. I don't know if he would be re-engaged if the city supported the board, and I hope the city supports the board's decisions going forward. But effectively, by the previous mayor not hiring counsel, she was vetoing the board's decisions, and he was disillusioned. So if I haven't reached out to Pat to talk to him about serving,
But we just need, it needs to become, it needs to be an urgent, it needs to be.
I understand. No, I understand. And one other question, and I don't know if anybody knows the answer. We have 3 members now, and I think they're all well-known and very engaged and are going to make every effort to make meetings. There's 5 members by ordinance, I guess. And if 3 show up, I assume that's quorum and that they can then vote and conduct business. I want to get us to 5 also, because somebody's going to be sick, somebody's out of town. But at this point in time, there is a real possibility then that the 3 members can conduct business.
Yes, sir.
Would you like me to talk to Pat?
Yes, I would.
Would you like to talk to him?
You
I'll be happy to talk to him.
Yeah, I can
you
reach
doing
out
as
to
well as
him
I.
too.
Yeah. Again, he was really disillusioned, and if he knows the city's got the board's back,
Correct.
it may change his mind.
Alright,
But he
awesome.
needs to opine, he needs to chime in.
Perfect. Okay, Madam Clerk, old business number 2.
Old business number 2, Civil Service Board Administrative Appointment.
Okay, and you guys know we're looking for a civil service board member. It is the city's representative.
It's the cities, okay.
Representative for the civil service board. So it's something that's another,
I mean, I've reached out to a few people. It's certainly hard to get people to serve. I think it's the commitment, especially with everything going on right now, so.
yeah, just something that we need to,
I would say we make a motion to defer this to next month too, maybe
Okay.
give us a little bit more time and see if we can reach out to some more people. for some
okay, so
consideration.
Councilman Wheeler said she will help get this position filled and ask for a motion to defer.
That's what you heard, Ben?
That's what I
That's what I heard, I thought.
Okay, so that position will be deferred.
Did I make a motion to defer?
Yep, we had a motion to defer, second by Councilman Buddy, all in favor?
Yay.
5 yeas, motion is deferred.
New
Clerk.
business number 1, Todd Turnion, Finance Director, monthly financials with budget to actual comparisons.
So we're gonna brief report, just an update that the sales tax amounts for this month, so a little less than a very high month we have in, November, I believe, but still about 225,000. So really good on the sales tax number for this month. We're working in the finance team on the year-end close at December 31st and preparing for the year-end audit process. That process has started, but will really kick up over the next few weeks and months. So that's the brief report that we had for this evening.
Thank you.
We've already done address to council, secretary's report.
Secretary's report for December 2021, total revenues, $2,620,705.
Okay, and we're gonna do reports.
Reports.
Chief Walker already made his report. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, sorry, Chief, I got you.
You good?
I'm ready.
You get one shot, that's it.
Yeah, I thought you
You
did.
lost it.
It's all of these amendments they got up here, Chief, they get me all messed up over here.
Late night tonight. Okay. This is the Harahan Police Department statistics for the month of December 2021. We had 840 calls for service, handled 10 auto accidents. We issued 121 citations for 226 different charges, 15 patrol requests. Arrests for narcotics for the month were 14 for 20 different charges, 14 felony, 2 misdemeanor, 4 city. Number of other arrests were 39 for 113 different charges, 22 of them were felonies, 54 were misdemeanor, 9 city, and 28 traffic. Persons and property crimes, no murders, no rapes, 1 robbery, 2 residential burglaries, 1 non-residential burglary, no attempted burglaries, no motor vehicle thefts, no attempted motor vehicle thefts, 3 larceny thefts for the month, and 8 assaults. We also have the stats for the year. I'll give you a brief rundown. Also, Harahan Police Department's Facebook page will have this information on it. We handled over 9,500 calls for service last year. We had 114 auto accidents that we handled. We issued over 1,600 citations for almost 2,500 charges. We had 106 patrol requests for the year. We had 161 narcotics arrests for the year. For 239 different charges, 123 were felonies, 51 misdemeanors, 65 city. Other arrests were 546 for over 1,080 charges, 186 felony, 582 misdemeanors, 158 city charges, and 154 traffics. Last year we had 1 murder, 1 rape, 3 robberies, 8 residential burglaries, 5 non-residential burglaries, 1 attempt burglary, 7 motor vehicle thefts, no attempted motor vehicle thefts, and 38 larceny thefts and 92 assaults. So overall, we're still a pretty safe city compared to everything that's around us. So, nice.
Chief, a question, and you may know the answer, I hope you do. Line 3 is number of citations issued, and for January, it's 121. And when I go down to line 16, which is right above, it's traffic, right above persons and property crimes, it's 28. What's the distinction, and I'm assuming number of citations is traffic citations?
They're not all arrests.
Sir?
I mean, they're not all arrests, is that what you're asking?
Well, I'm not sure. I'm trying to figure out does the number of citations issued equal 121?
Yeah, 121 citations, but some citations might have more than 1 charge on it.
Right, because you've got number of charges 226.
Yeah, right.
So those 2 lines are traffic citations, traffic violations. And down below where you say a number of other charges, traffic 28.
Those people were arrested
Oh,
on
okay,
traffic.
I see. Thank you.
They were arrested
Yes.
on traffic charges.
Gotcha. I see it under the subheading. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you for
that's
that.
it, no problem.
Thank you, Chief. All right, Chief St. Cyr's not here. Councilman Asbell?
Thank you. 2 quick announcements. First of all, Coach Earl over at the playground wanted me to let everyone know they are right now doing soccer and track registration for the spring season. So get over there and register for soccer and track. They're not sure where the home field is going to be yet, but it's going to be somewhere close. It's going to be moving around probably to Jefferson, Little Farms. That's what we usually do for soccer anyway, for the older teams at least. And then again, I want to thank the Louisiana State Bar Association, Young Lawyers Division, Jefferson Bar Association, Young Lawyers Division, for helping me put on the Wheels for Heroes event last weekend. It's our pleasure and our honor to serve those who serve us every day, and do things for us. And this is the least we could do for them, and is help them plan their future. Want to thank the mayor for allowing us to use City Hall. We spread out around City Hall, and thank Councilman Wheeler for coming and volunteering her time as the notary for those wills. Really appreciate that. And thank you to the police firemen that came out and got their wills done. And yeah, we are planning another one for after Mardi Gras sometime. We're going to invite some of the other neighboring departments. We invited 3rd District Fire Department this time. It was kind of short notice to them. We're going to invite the Levy District, some JPSO guys, some of the firemen over in Elmwood, just to kind of get them over here as well, because we're all on the same team in this area and we serve each other. So thank y'all.
Councilman Bodie?
I don't have a report. I would like to repeat that I thought it was a very nice thing that y'all came up with and did for the fire and police department and helping with their wills. So thank you for doing that.
Councilman Chatelain?
No report.
Councilman Johnston?
No report.
Councilman Wheeler?
No report.
I want to just reiterate, thank you to my staff. Y'all incredible. Thank you to this awesome council. And we do have a lot of friends throughout the city and throughout this whole area. And State Senator Kirk Talbot, State Representative Johnny Oak. So we're very fortunate in this day in Harahan right now. And any help, anybody wants to get involved, we're more than happy to take it. So thank you very much. Good night. And we'll see you at the
Pay
next.
bills.
Oh, we gotta pay bills.
Pay bills.
I don't like paying
Bills paid in December 2021, total expenditures, $718,908.57.
Move to adjourn.
We have a
Second.
motion by Councilman Asbill to adjourn, second by Councilman Johnston. All in favor?
Yeah.
We are adjourned.